Common Spirit Health Studios. This is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, Wasatch County Health is reporting an outbreak of measles. Spokeswoman Lana North says there are 5 confirmed cases and 2 more suspected cases, all connected with Wasatch High School.
We had students that were attending school as well while they were infectious with measles, and we also had some students that were out of school play at the high school.
North says they're asking people to get the MMR vaccine and stay home if they suspect they're ill. Only 2 of the confirmed cases reported being vaccinated. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, President Trump stepping up the pressure against Venezuela over alleged drug trafficking.
The president is upping the military pressure on Venezuela with a massive show of force in the Caribbean, deploying the largest and most lethal aircraft carrier in the world, the USS Gerald Ford. It's all a display meant to intimidate Venezuela's authoritarian leader, Nicolas Maduro. The Trump administration says he's a narco-terrorist, and beginning today, the State Department is designating him and his government a foreign terrorist organization.
That's ABC's Mary Bruce reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow showing strong this morning, up 263 points, 0.5% to 46,508. Coming up, we've got some foggy conditions on the road, and sometimes traffic and weather together affect each other. That's what we'll check coming up next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Hurry! It's your last chance to donate for 2025. Last chance! Donate now for a 2025 tax deduction.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
A stiff chair makes you sit. An X chair lets you float. Upgrade to an X chair, engineered for better posture and focus. The secret? Patented lumbar support that adjusts instantly. SiFloat Infinite Recline that moves effortlessly with you. X chair is next level ergonomic seating that truly floats. Right now, you can save up to 50% with the X chair holiday sale. Supplies are limited, so visit xchair.com today for up to 50% off. That's xchair.com.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or bird seed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And let's check in again with Cormac Bone.
Crash on southbound I-15 in Lehigh, blocking the left lane and shoulder. They are in the final stages of cleanup as vehicles get loaded onto tow trucks, but the delays persist starting just after Timpanogos Highway. Also, 2 crashes on the southwest corner of Bangerter Highway. The first is westbound just after 2700 West. They're blocking the right shoulder, and the second is in the right shoulder on the on-ramp at 134th South. And eastbound I-80 has crews working to clear a road out of the ditch as you approach Bangerter Highway just below the airport. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air. We got this. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, KSL weather today, get out your jackets. It's starting to get colder. Today, see a high of 49 degrees with mostly sunny skies. And tomorrow, temperatures will drop slightly. A high of only 46 degrees and partly cloudy. Right now, it is 36 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. We have quite a show today. Everything, Holly, from brain rot to
Black
Friday to crash test dummies. And all points in between. A lot going on. A lot happened over the weekend. Let's start with this brain rot because it sounds, maybe it sounds to me worse than it is. Maybe it is as bad as it sounds.
So it's interesting to me. Brain rot was selected last year as the Oxford Dictionary Word of the Year, and it really is used to define perceived mental deterioration from over-consuming low-quality content. So basically junk food for the brain, like short-form videos that you find on TikTok and on Instagram. So there was a meta-analysis done by the American Psychological Association, and what that means is they looked at multiple studies done by other people. So this analysis looked at 71 studies and had almost 100,000 participants in it to look at how these short-form videos are affecting our brains.
So that would be a significant study and a series of studies. You would expect that
they're analyzing the studies. It's a study of the studies, right? And they're cross-comparing findings and what they found was that it does in fact affect our brains and in negative ways, right? Over consuming these short form videos.
Yeah, and I was interested in that because the short form video is I guess what TikTok and what these are about. You just boom, 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 these little.
An Instagram reel has to be less than 60 seconds, and on TikTok you can do slightly longer form. But I'm using those short form videos to just do a brief summary every day of what we talk about on our show, right? So you can consume my content, but these short form videos can really impact.
I wonder what it is about
brains.
the short form video. Just that your brain doesn't have time to sort of get up to speed on it, or there's nothing significant there. It's just one little blip of information, then you go to another one, and your brain's just not.
That's an interesting question, and I'm not sure if they addressed the why. They probably do, at least in some studies, but I can tell you that some of the impacts that people have found with these consumption of these videos, first of all, a lot of it they say is just low quality content, right? It's just not that interesting. It's not that educational. It's really low quality, but it's finding lower attention spans. It's finding even lower self-esteem and mental health, right? So if you're seeing these curated videos all the time talking about this ideal body type or the way you take care of your skin, even as a 10-year-old, that can have negative impacts.
Yeah, it's interesting. They found that heavy short-form video consumption, in other words, seeing a lot of short-form videos, is directly associated with diminished cognitive functions, particularly a person's ability to pay attention and control their inhibitions. And in younger and older age groups, it also is tied to poorer attention spans. The poorer attention span makes sense because there is no attention span to a 15 to 30 second.
It's the constant dopamine hits, right? So it's interesting that it's not just in young people. These impacts affect older people too, who are either doing doom scrolling, right, or just this consumption. One of the numbers that I saw that was pulled out is that the younger people who are using this are spending 6.5 hours a day watching these videos. That is an entire school day, at least in elementary school, 6.5 hours a day.
I wonder if brain rot is something that is reversible. I mean, is this something that is just affecting a person while they're watching it and shortly thereafter, or is this something that it forever changes your brain?
I think it's not forever, right? I mean, there's always opportunities to learn, but one of the things that happens is you stop being able to do things like understand a book that you're reading or doing problem solving or what people call deep learning, right? Because you're not used to being able to spend so much time concentrating on something. So reading a physical book is different than watching these videos.
A 30-second video, and then you're on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
Because there's almost no way you can read unless it's a joke book or something.
Right.
30-second vignettes here or there, and moving on to the next one. And if you did, it wouldn't mean much to you anyway. That's an interesting study, and I guess the more I'm hearing about it and learning about it, even from you, the more I am not surprised at this kind of. But so what do you do? I mean, I guess as a parent, you should be aware of this, and you tell your kids or your friends, even adult friends, you can't just spend your day staring at these videos.
So we know that there's sleep impacts too. If you're spending too much time on social media right before you go to bed, that it can impact your sleep in negative ways. I have several friends, unnamed, that they scroll TikTok before they go to bed, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the way they feel like they de-stress and have downtime. But it does have negative impacts.
It probably has just the opposite impact.
It's
probably
does.
Not the thing you need to do.
So it's this brain rot is. It's interesting, right? Because you kind of joke about it and just say, oh, it's like junk food for the brain. But just like eating too much junk food for your body, it's not healthy. And it's not good for you, and it has real impacts. So the study is actually called Feeds, Feelings, and Focus. And then it's a systematic review and meta-analysis examining the cognitive and mental health correlates of short-form video use, right? Because it's an academic study, so of course they have to use big words and a big title. But really, it's this look at 71 different studies with almost 100,000 users.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that they use the word brain rot, although maybe it's right, but it's sort of defined as the reducing a person's attention span and the ability to use critical thinking, which contributes to what they call brain rot. I mean, it's frightening, really. You think about it. Not surprising, but the more I'm reading about these findings and the significant number of individuals tested, a lot of studies coming to similar conclusions on each one. I mean, young people and maybe even our legislators and regulators need to take a look at this and say, hey, wait a minute, are we really doing the right thing here?
In a related note, there are 2 countries that are now banning social media use for anyone under age 16. Australia is one of them. I'm going to have to think about the other one. I think it's an African country, but there are 2 countries completely banning social media for anybody under age 16. But there's a related study. We only have about a minute left, but there's a related study in the New York Times where the New York Times is writing about it from MIT, where students using ChatGPT to write a paper, right? One of the things that these researchers found is ChatGPT can help spit out a paper, but they didn't learn anything. They cannot even repeat back part of their
own paper,
their own paper, right? So there's they just cannot. They can't do it. And even if you use the search engine like Google search, they could do a tiny bit. But of course, if they write it themselves, then they can tell you, yeah, this is this part, and this is this part, and this is what I found. So this brain rot can impact people in a bunch of different ways. So getting rid of social media actually had noticeable impacts on our producer Caitlin Johnson, and I wonder if any of our listeners have given up social media and noticed any changes. Did you notice an improvement in your attention span? We've been asked several times to go on social media fast and to cut down our usage. I'd like to hear from our listeners too. So text us at 57500 and we'll talk with Caitlin when we come back.
Hard to believe, but Black Friday's here, and you know what that means. It's time for Black Friday money deals at UCCU.
There is an annual tradition now for Black Friday at UCCU where people look forward to, because unlike other Black Friday sales, Black Friday at UCCU is your chance to actually improve your finances.
Like a home equity loan with extra 0.25% off the intro rate, auto and RV loans with no payment for 90 days, low-rate credit cards with 0% interest for 6 months, and $150 cash just for signing up for direct deposit.
It's so easy, and that's just the beginning of Black Friday money deals. Keep going to uccu.com every week for new premium deals that will unlock, and they're things like cutting your auto loan rate in half to earning a higher interest rate on your savings. Enter each week for a chance to win these awesome prizes.
But you got to visit uccu.com every week, but if you come back and enter every time a new deal unlocks, you can win them all. So don't just enter once, go every week, unlock every deal, and win big this Black Friday at UCCU.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
There's no place like home, but home ownership is slipping away in Utah, and young Utahns are being priced out of their own communities. The U.S. economy is built on the idea that 30% of your income should go towards housing. But in Utah, families are spending nearly 66% just to keep a roof overhead. On top of that, the average homeowner in Utah has nearly $400,000 in net worth. For renters, it's barely $10,000. And with Utah already on track to be short more than 153,000 homes by 2030, that gap is only growing. Every community in Utah plays a part in finding solutions. More homes mean more opportunity for teachers, nurses, police officers, and every family that makes Utah what it is. Learn more about Utah's housing shortage and what we can do to begin to fix it at demandmoresupply.com. That's demandmoresupply.com. Make your voice heard right now. Log on to demandmoresupply.com. demandmoresupply.com. Together, we can keep families close.
Progressive has great customer service, and it's easy to reach us because great and easy is the way to be. Like salads, great for you, and so easy you can put any group of veggies in a bowl and it's a salad. A full carrot with a head of cabbage, weird, but still a salad. 1 radish and a couple of green beans, also a salad. 14 blueberries, half an onion, and a sunchoke? Odd, yes, but an odd salad. So contact Progressive's customer service by phone, app, or online. It's great and easy, just like salad. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Find fresh holiday decor and gift ideas at the 25th Annual Simple Treasures Boutique with 250 local shops and vendors. One of the largest gift and best treasure hunting shows. Thousands of items for any taste and style. You dream it, they'll have it. Instagram social-worthy holiday gifts and home items you've been pinning on your pages in real life. Simply perfect, simply unique, simply affordable. Simple Treasures Boutique, December 3rd through the 6th at Western Sports Park in Farmington. Tickets at simpletreasures.boutique.
Mr. Max, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, proms, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Max there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
Inside Sources.
We're continuing our discussion about some new findings from the American Psychological Association that have tied short-term video content from apps such as TikTok and Instagram to what researchers are calling brain rot. It's an unfortunate phrase to define something that it really is problematic, it sounds like. But we want you to text us at 57500 if you've given up social media and noticed any improvement in your attention span.
Or even gone on a social media diet or changed how you use it. So, Caitlin, we have Caitlin Johnston in studio with us. She's our producer. You've been working on your relationship with social media for the past year, and you got rid of it completely earlier this year. So, tell us about that.
Well, when I saw this study, I saw it over the weekend post, and I was just like, yup, that is exactly what, like, I think we all knew that, but there's actually a study that's kind of backing this up now. But when I intentionally got off of it because, well, one, we were producing a conference special about unplugging, but I personally felt like social media was controlling my life, and I wanted to try to take back that control. And so I went 30 days without it completely, like not even accessing it on the computer, because there is a difference of it being on your phone and on a computer. And what I noticed significantly was just how much less anxiety I had, and also how much more I could focus and think clearly and critically about things that previously were just hard for me to do. But it's because I was cutting out the short form. And I allowed myself still to have YouTube because I was fine with long form. Like, I don't have an issue with that long form, and I could just pay more attention. I found myself reading more books without feeling anxious, like sitting and actually reading a book. Who'd have thought that you could do that nowadays? But yeah, that was my overall experience, and still to this day, like I recently deleted like Facebook and just a few apps off of my phone over the weekend because I was trying to get some stuff done and realized that I was wasting time on those.
So what was it about that? I mean, you're ahead of the curve here in terms of this study. What was it about these short-term things that you were videos that made you think there's something problematic?
Well, I just realized how it took me out of fight or flight, kind of being, because you're when you're scrolling and you get stuck in that scroll, you're just waiting for the next dopamine hit, for the next video. And I actually spoke with a licensed psychologist, Magenta Silberman, with Huntsman Mental Health Institute. She talked a little bit more about how it impacts our attention spans.
Right, it's a very distracting opportunity for our brain. So I want us to think about, we have our executive functioning skills. It's right in the front of our brain. I want you to think of that as like the executive of your brain, sort of delegating and telling the rest of your brain what to do. And social media is going to really tax that part of our brain. We're going to have to switch between tasks. Either we're looking at different profiles, or suddenly there's a different link and we're going down the rabbit hole of different topics. And that is really taxing to our executive there. We have to regulate our emotions, because as I'm sure you've probably experienced, when you're scrolling through, you might feel jealous, sad, angry. All of those are taxing for our brain as well. And we have to stop ourselves, which is also a really hard task for that executive in our brain. For anyone who's been on TikTok, there's really no end. So you have to will that into fruition. So there's a lot of impact on our attention in general for social media.
So what do you do now? I mean, are you just off it now altogether?
No, I've let myself back on, but I will say that I have to do check-ins, right? I found myself on TikTok. TikTok is one of the biggest problems. It does have no end. You can get sucked on there and you are stuck, and you are literally, like, the brain rot is real. And the problem with it is is you'll find an interesting topic, a video and you can have longer videos on TikTok, and you don't even realize 2 hours has passed that you've wasted. But it's just the switching between topics that I find so detrimental, because there's interesting stuff on TikTok, which is the conflict. Because I find things that I'm interested in, but it's just you watch one video and then there's another topic, and your brain is just in this constant switch. And so it causes anxiety and frustration. You just, as she explained, all these different emotions. And some of the content isn't that valuable either. I think you mentioned that in the last segment, that you are just kind of sitting there, and I just think that the critical thinking is gone. I actually saw, ironically, on TikTok last night, I saw someone like questioning how a college student could be taking notes by hand on paper, because she was like, how is her attention span allowing that? And I was like, oh no, this is a problem. And I actually do have a big concern for the younger generation, because I grew up without social media, and it kind of came into my life like in high school. So it's kind of been a weird relationship for me. But I do have a big concern for people who are, younger now, because I just am very worried about their brains, and older adults' brains who are just on social media all the time.
I think it's interesting. I do think that there are positive benefits to social media. There's a new Pew Research study that just came out a couple of days ago talking about how many people are on social media. And I saw an article last week talking about sometimes the benefits for older people. And by old, they defined anybody over 50, but older people, that it can be. But look, we have a number of texters. One person said, I haven't gotten rid of my social media, but I purged my following and followers list to just be family and close friends.
That's beneficial.
So, so they said it's helpful for mental health, fewer comparisons. Another one said, my family went on a 2-week screen fast with my 3 kids, 10, 8, and 4. It was so tough at first because we found that we filled downtime with the screens. But after the first week, everybody started using their imaginations and playing together again. Now we only do screens on Sundays and as a family. They hate it sometimes, but we feel strongly that moderation through the school week is good for their health. Yeah. And then another one who says, I haven't noticed any clearer concentration after social media fasts. I have noticed, though, that I don't feel withdrawn after a week or so without social media. So I realize that social media use accomplishes nothing for me unless I go in for a specific purpose, which is what you were saying.
I agree with that. And I think we'll play one other soundbite in just a second. But using it more intentionally, and one other thing, I was just going back to that previous texter, it's like I forgot that we could go outside and talk to people face to face. Like that's just one thing that I think my generation specifically struggles with. And so that in-person connection is really what I prioritize. And I did actually realize that I didn't talk to a lot of people outside of the digital world. But the biggest takeaway I got from my conversation and just my own experience was using social media more intentionally and with a purpose. And so we can play that second soundbite there.
If we're using social media in an intentional way and in a way that's thoughtful of how it incorporates into the rest of our lives, right, then we're not going to see the same impact negatively on our mental health. It's when we're not engaging intentionally, when we're doing it mindlessly, we're avoiding things, or we're not engaging in our offline life in the way that we want to, that's when it becomes more concerning, more detrimental.
Was it difficult, Caitlin, to just cold turkey get off this? Not that it's an addiction, but you're used to something. It's something you've 100%. Been right.
But yes, it was difficult. After 3 days, I was fine. So you think it's hard, and then you kind of start getting you literally have the urge to grab your phone and check it, and you're like, oh, I guess I'll check my email. Done with that. But after a few days, you just realize you don't need it. And I am a big advocate. This is me telling myself, I think over this next week, I'll probably delete all of the apps off of my phone. So I'm not just spending my Thanksgiving holiday just doom scrolling, and actually just being present and reading books and doing all of that. But I don't think that we all need social media on our phone. I think that you can access it on a computer and be just fine. That's just my take.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think sometimes we mistake online connections with the true connections that you're talking about, but also it can be a way to stay in touch with family and friends, right? I mean, that is one way that people put out notices for wedding invitations, but if the algorithm doesn't feed it to you, then you don't even know.
That is true. And I do think that there's just that you have to find that balance, so it's not taking over your life, but you're still just using it as a tool to connect. And I think that everyone may have a different approach to that, but for me, I think don't need to be on it as much.
We have one texter. We have several others, but one says, I gave up social media 2 years ago completely. I've never regretted it. I feel better, have more energy, a better outlook, and life is better in general.
Kudos to you.
So.
Yeah, and I'm
on it all the time.
Yeah, I'm not. But I'm sort of getting onto it more and more, but maybe I'm going in the wrong direction.
No, there's a benefit. There's pros and cons. It's
Yeah.
just don't let it take over your life, and that's
Yeah.
why I have the concern for the younger generation, because I see that happening right now. So just be mindful and try not to rot as much as you do, because we all like rot days. I know it.
Good words of advice. Hey, well, when we come back, this is something that caught me a little bit off guard. Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced that she is resigning from Congress in January. Let's talk about the breakup of all breakups that led to this decision when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, Democratic State Representative Nate Bluin says he will be running for Congress. Bluin says Utahns are struggling to pay for housing while the GOP plays games with health care. His platform for state Senate was heavily built on saving the Great Salt Lake. He's the fourth Democrat to announce his candidacy for the newly redrawn 1st District. A team of researchers from BYU have developed a new sensor that reads the moisture content in soil. Electrical engineering professor Brian Mazzeo says they put 86 sensors into a field in Alberta.
They actually harvested the field with our sensors in there. So it had to also be low enough to the ground so blades could go over it, and it wouldn't interfere with the normal operation of the field.
He says their sensors use Bluetooth technology to get the data back to a central location. Farmers and eventually automatic sprinkling systems can then use that information to water only where it's needed. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Despite harsh criticism from celebrities Kevin Bacon, Tom Hanks, and Morgan Freeman, artificial intelligence is gradually moving into the field of entertainment.
Matthew McConaughey has said in interviews that he took a semester of Spanish in high school. So how has he mastered the language?
Hola, feliz viernes a todos.
McConaughey has not, but his AI voice clone has. 11 Labs, a company in which he's invested, has translated McConaughey's popular newsletter to Spanish in his own voice. 11 Labs is working with living celebrities and the estates of dead ones to license AI likenesses of their voices for commercials, movies, and video games. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 272 points, 0.6% to 46,517. Coming up, it's looking like we're going to have a pretty warm Thanksgiving. We'll get weather check coming up next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Way back in 1989, I started servicing hot tubs in Park City, and I learned the hard way in the freezing winter in the mountains that hot tubs are not built for Utah's harsh climate. I then found the Arctic Spa, the most northern manufacturer of hot tubs built specifically for the northern climates. Arctic Spas use perimeter insulation similar to your house where the outside walls are insulated. This allows us to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and reduce your electric cost each month. Since then, we have sold 10,000 Arctic Spas here in Utah. We've learned that Arctic Spas last longer because they are built stronger. You can just feel the difference. Arctic Spas are easier to fix because we put access panels all the way around the spa, which makes it less expensive for you. Add this to the lower electric bills each month, and you end up with the least expensive hot tub to own over the long term. Arctic Spas, with stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George, or online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Just how good is Pure Talk's current deal for unlimited wireless? Well, you might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Because right now, for just $29.95 a month, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This is Pure Talk's top-tier plan. It comes with a crazy fast 5G network along with a 30-gig hotspot. And at just $29.95 a month, there has never been a better opportunity to lock in a ridiculously low rate for as long as you live. And save thousands and thousands of dollars along the way. This plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you will save over 50% every single month for the rest of your life. See what I mean? It really is the deal of your lifetime. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer ends 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
Experience the timeless Christmas classic that has captivated audiences nationwide. From the Michael McLean family to your family. See The Forgotten Carols musical. With an unforgettable story and songs that are a Christmas tradition, come meet our next generation and share the magic of Christmas in Orem, Salt Lake City, Ogden, Tooele, Logan, and Saratoga Springs. Tickets at ForgottenCarols.com.
We've all been there. You buy something one day and find out it went on sale the next. When it comes to your dream home, nothing can be more frustrating than to have interest rates drop right after you sign. For a limited time, Golden West Credit Union will help you buy or refi now and free-fi later. When rates drop, you can refinance once at no cost anytime in the next 3 years. Lock in this exclusive offer today at gwcu.org. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 440574.
We'll take care of you.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Cormac Bone.
Crashes have cleared up across the Wasatch Front. The only one left is on southbound Bangerter Highway in West Valley, just after the 201 freeway. They're blocking the right shoulder and causing some light delays. But I-15 also cleared up after a big crash in Lehigh, now traveling at speed both directions from Ogden to Provo. Spotty delays, though, both directions in the construction zone on Pioneer Crossing in Lehigh. Your heaviest delays are near Saratoga Road. Don't miss what the New York Times called the best nutcracker in the United States, November 28th through December 27th. Buy tickets now at balletwest.org. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, you're going to need your jackets because it's cold. Today, a high of only 49 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow, temperatures will drop to only a high of 46 degrees and partly cloudy. We are looking, though, at a high of 55 degrees and only partly cloudy skies on Thanksgiving Day. Right now, it's 39 and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Breaking up is hard to do. Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced her resignation from Congress in a video posted on X this weekend. I'm a little concerned. I mean, maybe you could help us understand the background of all this, but why announce a resignation instead of, and this is a rhetorical question, instead of saying, I'm not running again, I'll finish my term?
That's a good question that I don't know the answer to. However, I will say that she compared herself to being a battered wife or a victim of domestic violence, right? When she said that it was just too much of a hot mess in D.C., that the Republican Party was not sticking to its guns. And then, of course, there was a great big fallout with President Trump. And they had been besties, right, for a good long while.
Yeah, and in this video that she posted, she highlighted that the work that she had done on behalf of the Republican Party and the shock of having that same party turn on her.
I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
I mean, she's pretty opinionated, right? And that was one of the things, I guess, that makes it surprising, right? So we saw this rift start to develop with the Epstein files, really.
Right.
But she was also concerned about some of the things that were happening with foreign affairs. And she was saying, this is not putting America first. And she is going to step down in January.
Yeah, and Trump was, when we were talking about the release of the Epstein files, and she came out with a group of other Republican legislators. I think there were 3 or 4 of them.
4 total.
And they were saying, no, we're going to vote to release these files. That they needed something like 218 votes to get that on the table. And Trump came out and basically called her a traitor, called her wacky. He softened that a little bit when he was talking to some reporters outside Marine One this weekend.
I just disagreed with her philosophy. She started backing perhaps the worst Republican congressman in our history, this stupid person named Massey. And I said, go your own way. And once I left her, she resigned because she would never have survived a primary. But I think she's a nice person.
So he did not really think she was a nice person
No.
in some of his posts about her. And, of course, he loves to put things out in the middle of the night on Truth Social. And so this is one of his, it's not the only one, by the way, but one of his comments about her. I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of, quote, in quotes, Congresswoman, as if that's not real. Of course,
Right.
it is real. Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country. And then he lists a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of stuff.
Having created the hottest country anywhere in the world from being a dead country just 12 months ago, all I see is wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain.
Right.
Anyway, on he goes. And then he does, instead of Marjorie Taylor Greene, he puts out a post calling her Marjorie Traitor Greene. I mean, holy cow.
Yeah, and I think that at one point she was considering running for. She's a Congress member from the state of
House,
Georgia,
in
right?
Georgia, yeah.
And she was thinking about running for senator or governor. I think she went to him at some point for some support and some endorsement in that respect. Instead, she got just the opposite. He said that I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance, unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. So.
Well, she would have, maybe if she stayed in his good graces. But look, I thought it was really telling that she compared herself to a battered wife. And, just at what point do you just say this relationship has run its course, right? I mean, I can understand feeling like there is not going to be any way for her to continue to make progress on the political goals that she had. And she really changed her tone recently, including on a talk show, I think with CNN, where they directly asked her, you've been part of this toxic rhetoric. And she apologized. She said, I have, and I'm sorry, and we should not be doing this as a nation.
If you recall, she was also part of a very small group right after the government shutdown took place that were trying to revisit that issue as well, and like, hey, maybe we don't need to go shut down the government. There's something going on there, and I don't know her particularly well, except just reading things about her. I've never had a great impression of Marjorie Taylor Greene, in all honesty. So I guess part of me is a little skeptical as to what she's doing here, but I'm quite certain that we haven't heard the last of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, people have speculated, is she running for president in 28, or is she running for the Georgia Senate or Georgia governor? And she has unequivocally stated she is not running for president in 2028, and she is not running for Georgia Senate or to be the Georgia governor in 2026, which is this upcoming election cycle. But, one of the other things that she was having an issue with during the shutdown were the healthcare subsidies, right? We talk about with the ACA and how much the payments are going to increase, quadrupling in some cases, right? And she said, I have adult kids. They're paying, something like $1,000 a month, and it's going to go up significantly. I can't remember the amounts exactly, but she was saying this is not sustainable. This is not good, and this is not putting the American people first. I do have to say there's another congresswoman. They've been at odds with each other, and this is Jasmine Crockett. She's a Democrat. They have really been basically at loggerheads with each other, and she was kind of mocking Marjorie Taylor Greene's announcement, and she had this to say. She said, you're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. I mean, Jasmine has been on the other side ever since she got elected.
Right. And Trump just really he's not holding back on his contempt for her. I know one of the sound bites we said he sort of backed off a little bit, but he said conservative people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district in Georgia. They're too fed up with her and her antics. If the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. Right person runs against her. Of course, now she's she's
Not
resigning.
only is she not running,
Right.
she's resigning. Yeah.
Right. She has gone far left, even doing The View when they're low IQ Republican-hating anchors. So, boy, he let it all out there. And she was a loyalist to him, probably more so than anyone. At some point, a year ago, you'd say she was one of his top supporters.
Yeah, and I think again that's one of the issues that we have seen before with the current president is that he really values loyalty, and if he feels like you are not loyal, then that's it.
Yeah.
You're out, and she's out. So, look, speaking of not on my bingo card, President Trump called the New York mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani great and said there were a lot of things they agreed on. They had a very good and positive meeting in the White House on Friday. That actually surprised me. I thought it was going to be pretty acrimonious, and I was not right. We'll talk about that meeting when we come back.
Do you have chirping smoke detectors? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you've ever experienced chirping smoke detectors, you already know how annoying it can be. A great first step to try and stop the chirping is to change the batteries. If the chirping continues, it's possible that your smoke detector has gone bad. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't even realize that manufacturers recommend replacing the smoke detector altogether after 10 years. If you remove the smoke detector from the wall, on the back you should find a date of when it was made. Do a little math and you'll know how old it is. Now, Any Hour Services knows being a homeowner means you've got a list a mile long of things to do around the house, and check my electrical system probably isn't one of them. That's why we've put together this radio special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive inspection of your electrical system that includes testing those smoke detectors and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. Call Any Hour Services to schedule at 801-443-7300. 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country. But Congressman Blake Moore is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. Call Congressman Blake Moore at 202-225-0453 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
This holiday season, give the gift of love that lasts a lifetime with Dukes Jewelers. For over 75 years, the Dukes family has been part of Utah Valley's story, helping yours celebrate life's most cherished moments since 1948. Dukes is more than a jewelry store. They're craftsmen, creating timeless pieces and custom designs that capture the magic of the holidays. Whether it's a sparkling necklace, a custom ring, or restoring a family heirloom, Dukes Jewelers pours their heart into every gift, because jewelry isn't just about sparkle, it's about love and legacy. This Christmas, make your loved one feel like part of the Dukes family. Find the perfect gift at Dukes Jewelers, located at 220 South Main in Springville, or shop online at dukesjewelers.com. Dukes Jewelers, celebrating love and tradition since 1948.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control.
and priming the brain for other addictions. Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 102.7.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We rope it up.
Because we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
An expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
You know, it's only been about 3 weeks since the elections, the off-term elections, and before the election, Holly, you would have thought Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, lock solid, right-leaning best friends. Trump, Zoran Mondani, complete
bitter
opposites,
enemies.
bitter enemies, and here we are 3 weeks later, and we're getting an almost exact opposite response. We just talked about Trump's relationship with Marjorie Taylor Greene, which has gone south to the point where she is now resigning her position in Congress. But he also met with newly elected mayor-elect of New York, Zoran Mondani, a week or so ago in a meeting.
Just on Friday, actually.
Yeah,
Friday afternoon.
Right, that's right. And a meeting that people have looked back on and said, well, it was surprising how cordial both of them seemed to be.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So we have ABC Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce to tell us a little more.
The two men hurled attacks at each other for months. Not today.
I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually.
Mamdani saying they discussed his winning issue, lowering the cost of living.
We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out.
During the campaign, Mamdani attacked Trump as an authoritarian, calling him a despot.
I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting.
ABC's Start Here explained that they also downplay their differences.
They downplayed their differences, and they said, that we're here for a common purpose. Extraordinary moment came when one of the reporters asked Mamdani, "You called Donald Trump a fascist. Do you still think he's a fascist?" And, Mamdani begins to try to, answer that question with Trump sitting right at his side.
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
They over and over again emphasized how positive the meeting was and how they believed they could actually work together, which for anybody, looking at anything the two of them had said about each other, it seemed like entirely like we had landed on a different planet.
Right? Can you just imagine a scenario where a reporter asks Mamdani, "Do you still think Trump is a fascist?" And Trump basically gives him permission to say yes. And
okay.
So he says yes.
Right, yes.
So that surprised me. And part of it, I think, is we're not the only ones who were surprised. I saw a lot of conservative commentators on social media, which we have been talking about this morning, but who basically were saying before the meeting, oh, Mamdani is going to go in there, he's going to have his head handed to them. This is going to be, Trump is just going to wipe the floor with him. And as it turned out, they were very friendly. The president told reporters he will be cheering for Mamdani, and that they thought that the two of them could have an opportunity to work together to lower the cost of living for New Yorkers. And it's like, this is a mind-blown moment.
But, I've been trying to weigh this out myself, and so let's put Marjorie Taylor Greene on the side for a minute. But Trump would seem to have some... It would be an appealing person for him to have a Mamdani, a strong, well-spoken, even if it's a different political ideology than Trump is used to, there must be something about his personality, about Mamdani's personality, that sort of attracted Trump. The business person, the art of the deal person, the billionaire person who looks at this young man and thinks, this guy's got something. He's got some charisma.
It may be that. It may be just that he won the election. I don't know. You know, what's interesting is Mamdani said, everything I said in the past, I continue to believe. I'm not coming into the Oval Office to make a point or make a stand. I'm coming in there to deliver for New Yorkers. I mean, I think there was like a maybe almost a taunt thrown out by the president saying, well, basically, I dare you to come to the White House. And so Mamdani took him up on that. I don't know.
Right. You know, people are sort of trying to find out what exactly happened. ABC's chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl explained why the president may have shifted gears. Here's ABC's Start Here podcast.
Like, what was in it for Trump to be like, I like this guy, he's fine?
So my read of this, Brad, is that Trump saw that Mamdani had just had a great victory, and he was in the presence of a guy that had won. He was in the presence of a winner, somebody who hadn't just won, but he had won this rather remarkable victory where he came from nowhere, where he captured the attention of so many people through his innovative use of social media. It was a campaign that had energy and excitement, and I think, you know, Trump wanted to bask in the glow of that a bit. And look, do I think this is going to last? Is that your next question? No. No.
Yeah, right. Like, again, is this in good faith? Right.
No, I think that ultimately the differences between the two of them are way too deep.
I don't know. I think there is something going here. And it's New York. I mean, Trump would think of winning big in New York as being a sign of something big. I mean, Trump would like to win big in New York.
Well, right. I mean, and I think he indicated during the mayoral campaign that he was no longer going to consider New York as his second home, right? That he was just going to be there in Mar-a-Lago. And Mamdani on Saturday gave an interview where he said he actually went out of his way to talk to voters and asked them why they actually voted for President Trump. And he said they told him over and over and over it was cost of living. And so that when he went in to talk to the president, they both agreed that cost of living was an issue, right? And President Trump is saying he's trying to lower the cost of living. And of course, Mamdani has a mandate really from New Yorkers to do something about it. His approach politically is very, very different than what you're seeing from the president, of course.
And Trump also, a little bit surprisingly, and I may be wrong about this, Holly, endorsed his opponent, Cuomo, not the Republican that was running.
The Republican had no chance.
Right, because he had no chance, and he was not taken very seriously anyway. But Trump came out and supported the would-be Democratic.
Right. And remember, he lost to Mamdani in the primary, and so he ran
badly.
As an independent. Yeah,
right,
he lost
right.
badly. Yeah. It's interesting. The New York Times has a headline, of course, based in New York. Mamdani's meeting with Trump scrabbled the MAGAsphere, right? And they're just like, what just happened here, right? And that's kind of what we were saying. People are just like, wait, it's supposed to be a socialist showdown, right? That's what Fox News was calling it, because Mamdani is a socialist, right?
Right, and so people are now breaking down the body language between Trump and Mamdani, and they say, here's one body language expert. Trump is sitting, they're side by side. Mamdani is standing in a position where he's taller than Trump.
Yeah.
It's sort of a position of power.
Yeah.
And Trump's sitting there, not the typical place where Trump likes to be. Trump likes to stand up, grab your hand, show that he's taller than you. You know what I mean? Instead, he's sitting there, and Mamdani's sort of almost standing over him. And again, Trump doesn't think this out. I don't think that he's thinking of it as boy, what is the body language going to look like? He's just comfortable and he's having fun with the person that he respects and has just won a huge election. He's probably thinking, this guy's interesting. I'd like to break him down a little bit and see what he's about.
Well, yeah, we'll see. It was a couple of political events over the weekend that I did not anticipate. Did not anticipate Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning in January, which seems just really quick, right? Instead of, to your point, just writing out the next year. But I also didn't see Mamdani going into such a welcome reception in the White House.
Right, and he's, Trump was referring to him as a communist, and,
right.
and Mamdani's referring to Trump as a fascist, and both of them are sort of like, yeah, well,
we still think that.
we sort of think that, but we can agree to disagree on certain
Okay, look,
things.
they can disagree better.
Right,
They're
yeah.
disagreeing better. We can point to that and say in that particular interaction, they looked for points of common ground and they were able to find it.
Well, if this is a sign of a kinder, gentler Trump, I'm all for it. Seriously, maybe there's something
Don't
going
hold
on
your
here
breath.
that, we'll see. We're 4 days away from Black Friday, and it's supposed to be a day when you can get great savings. I've never been a Black Friday participant, but it's supposed to be the day when you can get all kinds of savings. But a recent study by Wallet Hub found that a third of this year's Black Friday items are not really a deal at all. We'll talk about where some things are after this.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: Utahns and millions of people around the country are getting ready to head to their Thanksgiving destinations in what's expected to be a record travel year.
Just under 82 million people are expected to travel at least 50 miles from home between tomorrow and next Monday. That's up more than 1 million people from last year, according to AAA. That's in spite of the fact the cost of travel continues to rise and airports are barely bouncing back from flight cuts during the government shutdown. AAA says the number of people flying those only expected to rise about 2% from last year. The vast majority of people are still expected to drive. It's expected to be a busy week, too, at the Salt Lake City airport. American Airlines says their busiest day in Salt Lake City will be when people are heading home on Sunday. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News: storms already causing some travel issues in some parts of the country.
Heavy storms have moved through the Dallas-Fort Worth area and into Arkansas and Louisiana, interrupting the travel plans of thousands. The misery map at FlightAware.com showed 347 delays nationwide just after 9 a.m., about half at DFW Airport and Dallas Love Field.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints celebrated the 100th anniversary of the church's presence in South America. Elder Melvin J. Ballard of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles offered a prayer dedicating the region for the preaching of the gospel back in 1925. Today, nearly 4.4 million church members live in South America. Your money at this moment: the Dow up 238 points to 46,484. Coming up, good travel weather, at least for now, to start the week. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Annuities, non-advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Hi, this is Cindy Olson, and get ready for these amazing offers during Black Friday week at Dave's
Bernina in Provo and St. George. 48 months, no interest on certain Bernina machines. All machines are on sale, including the new Bernina 3 Series, priced too low to mention. Even the most advanced sewing machine in the world, the Bernina 990, is on sale. That comes with free gifts. Incredible doorbuster deals on accessories that you will have to come into the store to find out. Dave's Bernina just received a limited amount of school buybacks in excellent condition and is offering the Bernina 335 model for $699, a retail price of $1599 if new. And a small number of school machine models with a doorbuster price of $499. Both come with 2-year warranties. Many machine purchases come with free gift bundles too. Black Friday week at Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo. Dave'sBernina.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Cormac Bone.
We have heavy delays northbound I-15 at the South Interchange, almost like there was a crash. I couldn't find it in the cameras. They start to die out a little bit now. Your biggest delays are on Pioneer Crossing in the construction. You've got spotty delays both directions from Saratoga Road to I-15. It's heaviest eastbound as you approach I-15. And some light spotty delays on the 201 freeway in Magna, both directions, between 8400 West and 7200 West. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave Utah has your blacktop covered at GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Call or visit GoPaveUtah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
ASL weather, mostly cloudy, high of 49 today. A similar pattern continues through Thanksgiving Day, but then we start to see a storm system moving in Friday night, possibly bringing some rain and even snow into Saturday and Sunday. Right now, it's 41 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I've never been a Black Friday shopper, but I've always thought, Holly, that is a great time to purchase, that there are deals for Black Friday, that a lot of these retailers are really opening up their doors and setting prices very low, and in part because you always see the crowds hanging out at the door. Apparently, some of the Black Friday deals have lost their potency, and deals that once left crowds rattling the Walmart safety barriers are now leaving people a little bit disappointed, even just compared to some of the Black Fridays of the last few years.
Well, I have done Black Friday shopping, and we've talked about this before on the show, and I used to get up early in the morning and go stand out in the freezing cold, and yet one of the things sometimes that you got to think about is, like, is it worth standing in line for 2 hours to save $2 off of, or $5 off this toy, right? For example. But I was really intrigued by seeing a Wallet Hub article that said 36%, more than 1/3 of Black Friday items, oh my goodness, offer no real savings, and that there are some where major retailers are going to charge more than you can get it right now. So we have on the line with us Chip Lupo, a Wallet Hub writer, and I wanted to talk to you, Chip, about just Black Friday. Is it dead?
You would think so, given the all the online platforms that are out there. But no, Black Friday is alive and well. If nothing else, it's become somewhat of a social event where folks. So it's been somewhat of a tradition where folks would leave the Thanksgiving dinners and either camp out in front of their favorite store, waiting for the doors to open. But no, Black Friday is still alive and well, and you can still get some pretty good deals out there. But one thing I think you will notice is that over the years, you don't see as many incidents where people are getting pepper sprayed or getting trampled, or you're seeing fist fights as people are breaking down the doors to get into these places.
So I've always thought, Chip, exactly what you mentioned just a minute ago, and that is that Black Friday was more of a social event. Get the family together, go to the stores, hang out in the middle of the night, and be the first one in the door to get the best deal. What did Wallet Hub, you all learn about the deals that actually are available on Black Friday?
Well, what we found is that, oddly enough, is like your traditional, or what we used to call department stores, are going to get you your biggest deals. And those are stores like JCPenney's or Belk's that you can get discounts well over 72 to 75%, and those are primarily on jewelry and apparel, and in a lot of cases, appliances.
That brings me to the next question is then what are the best products for consumers to buy on Black Friday versus other times of the year?
Well, this is a good time for, again, for jewelry and apparel. Appliances is one that tends to get overlooked. That's usually not on top of anyone's wish list for the holidays, but you can go to places like Home Depot or Best Buy and get some really good deals on whether it's a washer, dryer, a refrigerator, freezer set. You can get some really good deals on those. Expect a run on electronics this year, whether it's laptops, phones, tablets. Because of the uncertainty of the tariffs that's still floating out there on electronics, people are going to be making a rush on those because, again, the tariffs are floating out there, and the cost of those are going to be significantly high whenever these tariffs are enacted, if they actually are.
And in addition to the type of products that we might find having better deals on Black Friday, you mentioned jewelry and electronics, I think. There are also some retailers, and you mentioned earlier JCPenney of all, that are themselves bringing down prices quite a bit. There were a list, I think we talked last week, there was a study that Wallet Hub have done that there were 10 retailers that had knocked their prices down for Black Friday pretty significantly. JCPenney, 70-some-odd%, but there are others as well, correct?
Yes, JCPenney's, Belk's, and Kohl's, and these types of retailers are lowering their prices and offering huge discounts, if for no other reason, just to entice shoppers to come into the stores, to browse and maybe shop around for more items, because they are competing now with the likes of Amazon, and Walmart is ramped up its online presence. So it's all part of a strategy to get the shoppers into the stores.
Well, you mentioned online, so we now have, if I remember correctly, we have Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and then we have Cyber Monday. So is Cyber Monday, are there better deals on that day? Should people wait to order online, or should they be hitting the stores on Friday?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. Your best bet on Cyber Monday is going to be for electronics, or perhaps things that maybe they're not available in your area, or things that have gone out of stock. The other thing to keep in mind also is that because of online presence of Amazon, these retailers, because Black Friday has sort of moved the goalposts now. I mean, it seems you have your Labor Day sales, and then by October, you're already getting sort of the pregame leading up to the Super Bowl, which is Black Friday. You get these preliminary deals in October where you can shop and get some pretty good discounts. But you're still going to get your best discounts on Black Friday. But if it's a hot item, you'll probably want to shop earlier and maybe sacrifice a few dollars here and there rather than risk waiting until Black Friday and perhaps the item being out of stock.
Do you suppose, Chip, that a lot of these retailers still covet and still try to work Black Friday as much as possible because of the online purchases that are available through, like you say, Amazon or Walmart, that some of the brick and mortar, like JCPenney, some of the others that you mentioned, are doing things like Black Friday and hyping that to get people to come out and to come into a retail store and to go back to the days when we all had to shop in person?
Oh, and that's part of the overall strategy. Absolutely. The idea is to get shoppers into the stores. And this is where you have to be disciplined, because one thing that ruins a holiday budget more than anything else is impulse buying. You can go in, as the boxer Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the face. So you can come in with a well-thought-out budget, but if all it takes is one or two impulse buys to wreck your budget before you realize when you get home you've had an item that maybe wasn't the deal that you thought it was or as advertised, and then you end up with something that A, you didn't want, or B, you didn't need in the first place.
Yeah, that's so. I'm sure that's true, right? And that's get you in the door to get the deals, and then you impulse buy. So is there anything that really stood out to you with looking at this year's Black Friday?
I was surprised at the onset that these traditional department stores are getting you such huge discounts. And again, this is particularly on jewelry and apparel and appliances. 70+%, that's a significant deal. And I did find that to be pretty surprising.
Yeah, that is significant. Thank you very much. That was Chip Lupa, Wallet Hub writer, talking to us about Black Friday, and maybe it's not quite dead, even though some people are now saying that you don't get quite the deals that you have. Were you ever a Black Friday shopper?
Yeah, I was.
You talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I was. But do you remember this commercial? I think it was a furniture store, and it shows people outside the door and somebody inside, and they have like a cast and their arm in a sling, and the people outside are pounding on the door, open.
Yeah, right.
I remember that. So you mentioned something about storming people. There were at least one death during Black Friday where somebody got trampled to death. I mean, I remember that. It's crazy.
I remember some family members who on Thanksgiving Day at dinner would talk about, we're getting together tonight, we're meeting at 11:30, we're driving down to the mall, we're going to be there, we're going to hang out. And which I thought, that does sound like fun, really. It's not something I would personally do or something that I've ever done. But, I'm all in favor of still keeping. My wife and I disagree about this a little bit. She does so much online shopping. I'm like, no, I want to go to the store. I want to walk around the store.
My husband would rather poke his eyeballs out than go to the store, especially on Black Friday.
I'm just the opposite.
Okay, did you realize that adult crash test dummies for cars, that they've been male? Like the bodies for the crash test dummies are men, based on men.
Sure.
So in a really tiny, encouraging baby step, the U.S. Transportation Department has endorsed a female crash test dummy. She's not out yet, but at least we're talking about a small baby step. We'll talk about why that matters when we come back.
They all laughed when I suggested Fat Cats for our next movie night. They show movies at Fat Cats, was the reply. Then they walked into Fat Cat's luxury movie theater. Huge screens, Dolby sound, and every seat a luxury recliner. And to take it up a notch, we all ordered food from the Fat Cat's grill and had it delivered right to our seats without extra charges. Nothing feels better than relaxing in a comfy recliner and eating a hand-tossed pizza or freshly grilled burger. Even the desserts were out of this world. Our movie nights will never be the same. If you've got friends like mine, bring them to Fat Cats, Utah's newest chain of luxury theaters. Every Tuesday, tickets are $5. But at Fat Cats on Mondays, tickets are $5 with a Gold Cat membership. Want to achieve a neighborhood hero status like me? Bring them to Fat Cats. With locations along the Wasatch Front, there's one near you. Find movie times and locations at fatcatsfun.com. fatcatsfun.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Attention, Jazz Nation. We know you've been waiting on the edge of your seat, and the time has finally arrived. All tickets are available now. Let's go! Your favorite players will be back on the court, bringing the energy all season long. Whether you're looking for season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, there's a perfect option for every kind of fan. Show up loud and proud at Delta Center this season. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action. Buy your tickets today at utahjazz.com.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Way back in 1989, I started servicing hot tubs in Park City, and I learned the hard way in the freezing winter in the mountains that hot tubs are not built for Utah's harsh climate. I then found the Arctic Spa, the most northern manufacturer of hot tubs built specifically for the northern climates. Arctic Spas use perimeter insulation similar to your house where the outside walls are insulated. This allows us to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and reduce your electric cost each month. Since then, we have sold 10,000 Arctic Spas here in Utah. We've learned that Arctic Spas last longer because they are built stronger. You can just feel the difference. Arctic Spas are easier to fix because we put access panels all the way around the spa, which makes it less expensive for you. Add this to the lower electric bills each month, and you end up with the least expensive hot tub to own over the long term. Arctic Spas, with stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George, or online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
You know, we often look at crash test dummies, and I guess they've historically been male. They've historically more resembled a male. Not that I guess some of us didn't really appreciate that it made a difference, but crash test dummies are those mannequins that they put in cars, and they've got little things all over them so you can sort of monitor what happens in a collision, what happens to the human body. They're designed to represent and have joints and things like that, like a human body, so that you can see what happens in the course of an accident. And the Department of Transportation has now endorsed a crash test dummy that more closely resembles a woman after decades of use of the solely male-based dummy. And it isn't just a matter of representation. It's to make sure that women are being properly considered in safety tests, especially considering, and I didn't appreciate this, Ollie, women are 73% more likely to be injured in a head-on crash, and they are 17% more likely to be killed in a car crash than men.
Yeah, I knew those numbers.
No, I did not. I just assumed that we used male as crash test dummies because male are usually worse drivers. So you kind of have a better description of who's causing these accidents.
I mean, we have to have a conversation about invisible bias, because I think a lot of this comes from that invisible bias. Well, we just have a crash test dummy. What do you mean? We can put a wig on her and then she's a female, right? Or we can add a chest area and then she's a female, but they didn't take into account the smaller size of an average female driver. They didn't take into account, for example, where the seatbelt goes when you do have a chest. They didn't take into account what happens when you're pregnant and where the seatbelt goes, right? And it's those types of things that have just been, I think, out there for so long. And now, yes, there is a dummy, a crash test dummy that can be designed. It's not there yet, though.
And it's surprising because we think of crash test dummies as being around for decades.
Yeah.
Why no one has ever thought about this before? Because there are significant anatomical differences that should be taken into account, especially when the purpose of the crash test dummy is to measure your body's reaction
and
to something like this.
And able to survive a crash.
And so
what
you
do?
You would, of course, want to have different body types.
Look,
part of the equation.
Consumer Reports, and I've used them to purchase things, but Consumer Reports has traced calls back to female crash test dummies to 1980. 1980, right? That's how long organizations have been saying, look, we need to have something different that looks at women, smaller they did add a smaller female dummy to test, but it was just literally a scaled down version of the male dummy with a chest attached. That's it. That's not the same.
So, and what they've agreed on is that they haven't even set them up yet. They don't have female crash test dummies. They just said it's a good idea. We should have crash test dummies that more closely resemble a woman. Okay, great idea.
So yeah, so hopefully we'll get there. But look, there are some differences besides that they're just a percentage smaller than the average male. A female pelvis is different than a male pelvis. It's more rounded. It doesn't hold the seatbelt in the same way. There's anatomical differences in the neck. There's significant differences in the lower leg, which is really interesting. They're correlated with a much higher rate of leg injuries in women. And this is European officials are saying, look, we plan on testing it within a few years. And in the U.S., it's like, yeah, okay, you can move forward with this.
Yeah. It's also interesting because we have used crash test dummies to understand different body types in that we have children
for babies,
depicted,
the car seats,
and babies for car seats. So it's not like somebody hadn't thought about different body styles and types, but we hadn't thought about the most obvious one that it exists with half the country, male and female.
I have been writing about invisible bias for at least 8 years. So invisible bias is that the male is the default, right? And there are so many different things that we can point to. This is one. There are things like in Sweden, snow plowing patterns had to do with gender. And it's really interesting because the people who originally designed the snow plowing patterns would have said we did not, like, gender did not influence our decision one way or the other. But what they did is say we're going to plow the major streets first and then the surface streets and then the side streets. But if you look at the data, once they finally did, they found that women had different driving patterns than men, and they were also more likely to walk. This is an article I wrote in 2019, by the way. They were more likely to walk down the side streets because they were taking their kids from their home to the school or the daycare or the preschool, and they weren't doing the major thoroughfares to get to work like the men were, right? So then you have moms struggling with strollers. You've got elderly family members who can't get in and out of the house really, and that women were more than 3 times as likely to be injured walking in icy conditions than there were injuries actually on the roads. So it's just, that's one instance. But I'll talk to you too about medical research. The male is considered to be
the default,
the norm, the default, right? So even we know, looking at heart attack medications or heart attack treatment, female heart attacks look very different than male heart attacks. Did you know that?
I didn't.
They do. They're different. The symptoms are different. The way it's treated is different. Women a lot of times will have more of a lead up to a heart attack, some precursor symptoms in the week or 2 weeks leading up to a heart attack than the men do. And it's just one of the things where you just say, look, how can we test all these medications on men and then assume that they're going to be exactly the same in women? They're not.
And it's something I hadn't even thought of before, but it's something as simple as snowplow patterns. A bad snowstorm. Yeah. Let's focus on getting our working people back to work. Yeah. Getting the major roads done, and of course getting the roads to the ski resorts plowed. But having a single parent get their kid to school. The most obvious safety consideration I think you'd have is. Put at the end of the line. Yeah. Let's get the major streets going, and then we'll come to your neighborhood and make sure that you can get your kid to school, so you don't have to walk through snow. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You're right. It is invisible bias. It's
even things like this. What is the standard office temperature set at?
69, 70.
It's a formula developed in the 1960s based on the metabolic resting rate of the average man.
Yeah.
Right. It actually results in offices that are too cold for female workers, actually. Cupboard shelves that are too high, tools that are too big to fit in female hands, right? But I mentioned the heart attack one. Have you ever heard the advice, take low-dose aspirin, that could reduce your heart disease?
Sure.
Okay.
Baby aspirin.
That was based on a study of 22,000 men and 0 women. 0 women. Okay, so
why are we having this conversation in 2025? I mean,
yeah, that's
these
part of
things
it, right?
Seem so obvious.
That is part of it, and it's one of the things I think people just say, look, well, we're not biased because we don't see gender, right? We don't see color, whatever. I think one of the things that this shows is that there are differences that do need to be taken into account, including in the crash test dummies.
Right, and I guess people have long considered that the crash test dummy was neither male nor female. But if you consider how,
but it was based on a male body.
Based on a male body, yes, absolutely. And so, yeah, we need to balance these things out, and for safety reasons as well. If you're looking at just the numbers themselves, where more women are hurt or killed in accidents, maybe it's because we're not taking into account body types and body styles
and how the seatbelts
when we design seatbelts or airbags or just bumper safety or something like that.
There's even, I mean, I haven't seen this in an article, but like where the seatbelt rests as it comes across your neck, right? So if you're a shorter woman, I have a daughter who's only 4'11". She does not like to wear the shoulder belt because it cuts into her neck. Like it really, like it could hurt her, I think, if she were in a crash, that could cause some significant damage to her neck.
Right.
I guess that's maybe what they're saying when the neck anatomy is kind of different.
Right.
Anyway, come on. Thanks for joining the 21st century.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Well, Thanksgiving is coming up Thursday, just a couple days away. In other words, it's time when you have those sort of awkward family conversations. We'll talk with an expert on how to navigate those conversations when we come back next. And by the way, text us at 57500 on how you navigate uncomfortable conversations at your Thanksgiving dinner. 57500. We'll be right back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The Wasatch County Health Department is reporting an outbreak of measles among 5 people who attend Wasatch High School.
We had students that were attending school as well while they were infectious with measles, and we also had some students that were out of school play at the high school.
Spokeswoman Lana North says they're asking people to get the MMR vaccine and stay home if they suspect they're ill. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, the federal government giving advice on how to save money on heating bills this winter, but not everyone is too excited about what's being suggested.
The government says if you want to save money heating your home, keep your thermostat at 68 or 70 during the day, 58 or so at night. The Department of Energy is saying that'll lower your heating bills 10% depending on your climate. The lower the interior temperature, the slower the heat loss. Now, some say that you save money when you maintain a more consistent temperature, that your furnace won't have to work as hard, but the Department of Energy says, nope, that's a common misconception.
ABC's Wayne Cabot reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 185 points to 46,430. Coming up, here in Utah anyway, we've got nice travel weather before Thanksgiving. KSL weather's coming up next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical, and I'm humbled to win Utah's Best of State for 2025 for the 15th year in a row. After 28 years, we're all about you. Over 1,700 5-star Google reviews and a 4.8 customer satisfaction score to prove it. We'll keep working hard for you. I've spent this year advocating with lawmakers for better Medicare reimbursement, ensuring you always have the best access to medical supplies you need. From Idaho Falls to St. George, our 11 stores are your home for comfort. When you hear Alpine Home Medical, think of that best of state experience every single time. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Black Friday deals are back at Scandinavian Designs. For a limited time, discover incredible savings on Nordic-inspired furniture and decor for every space in your home. From statement pieces for your living room to instant upgrades for the dining room, bedroom, and more. It's the perfect time to refresh your favorite space or reimagine your entire home. Scandinavian Designs. We make it simple. You make it home. Stop by your local showroom today or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
$1.5 trillion is parked on the sidelines. Projects that would help create good-paying American jobs are stuck in years of burdensome reviews. Permitting reform would unlock over 650 major U.S. infrastructure projects, from new roads and bridges to bringing more energy online. With faster, more efficient permitting, we can unleash America's economic potential. Let's move from waiting to building. Ready, set, let's build. Paid for by Business Roundtable.
Just how good is Pure Talk's current deal for unlimited wireless? Well, you might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Because right now, for just $29.95 a month, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This is Pure Talk's top-tier plan. It comes with a crazy fast 5G network along with a 30-gig hotspot. And at just $29.95 a month, there has never been a better opportunity to lock in a ridiculously low rate for as long as you live. And save thousands and thousands of dollars along the way. This plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you will save over 50% every single month for the rest of your life. See what I mean? It really is the deal of your lifetime. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer ends 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Let's check in again with Cormac Bone.
Well, we have a disabled semi-truck causing some delays on southbound Bangerter Highway approaching the 201 freeway. They're blocking a center left lane. And Magna seeing some delays on the 201 freeway in both directions near 7200 west. Very light there. But I-15 is traveling at speed both north and southbound from Ogden to Provo with no delays or accidents. Odyssey Dance Theater's Christmas Spectacular, starring David Osmond. Fill your heart with the Christmas spirit this year. Visit odyseydance.com for tickets. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we should see a high today of 49, 46 tomorrow. Then we'll be in the 50s through Thanksgiving Day. But Friday night, a storm system starts to push in, and it could bring some rain or snow on Saturday and Sunday. Right now, it's 43 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, it's that time of year when you go home for Thanksgiving, get some food, reconnect with family, and and try not to bring up uncomfortable topics. We've mentioned about 3 or 4 of those today. Like, hey, what do you think of that Mondami guy? Or,
I know.
What about Marjorie Taylor Greene? You know, where are we with Trump these days? I mean, there's certain things that you just don't bring up on Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, how about them Utes or BYU Cougars? That's one thing. But
well,
when you
I don't know.
But even
Sometimes
that can get into the
exactly right. Exactly right. Right. So, look, holidays can be a difficult time. And some people choose to just avoid certain topics. In fact, we already have a texter who says that they're a Republican, their brother's a Democrat. So before we have family gatherings, we always say we will not be talking about politics at all when we get together for the holidays. Well, we have an expert on the line with us. It's Stephen Collis, law professor at the University of Texas, Austin, author of the book Habits of a Peacemaker. And Stephen, I love your book. I made my husband read it too. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks for passing the book on to others. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really great one. I'll recommend it to all of our listeners. But talk to us about Thanksgiving conversations and how should we go into this holiday coming up in a couple of days?
Actually, I think your intro hit it right on the button. I mentioned in my book and in some of my research, people who are good at productive discourse are also really good at knowing when not to talk about the most difficult conversations. You know, there's 364 days a year we can argue over New York City politics in the state of Utah, which quite frankly doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but people can do it if they want. They don't need to do it on Thanksgiving Day. And it's good to just build bridges and bonds and connect with people so that when you do have to have the difficult conversations, you've got a stronger relationship to do so. So I don't think people need to be afraid to do exactly what you just said, which is go ahead and agree not to talk about some of those things and find the things you can talk about that you really enjoy and that you share an interest in.
What about Uncle Bob who didn't get the memo? And he says, What do you think about this communist they just elected in New York? I mean, is there a way, Stephen, once it's out of the bag a little bit, to say, "Hey, wait a minute, let's talk about something else," or do you think it's better to set some ground rules before you even get to the conversation?
Well, you can set ground rules in advance. You can do exactly what you just said, which is, hey, can we talk about something else? Or, it's okay not to state your own opinion and get into a big fight. Now, I want to be very clear. My research in my book is not about how to avoid having hard conversations. In fact, it's the exact opposite. The whole point of the book is how to have productive conversations about difficult topics and not hide from them. That said, on Thanksgiving Day, on Christmas morning, we don't need to have those conversations. And so another really great thing you can do is if Uncle Bob comes in with this really strong opinion about the communist that the person he believes is the communist in New York City, is just, you don't have to fight back. You can just ask questions. If you disagree, you can understand better where he's coming from. Where is he getting his information? You can kind of relax about it. It's okay. You don't have to have the fight that day on the holiday. And I do consider it progress. When somebody comes in with a hot opinion, just understanding better how they reach that opinion is progress. That is productive discourse. It's just you understanding them better and how they reach that conclusion instead of making all sorts of bad assumptions about them.
That is great advice. We have another texter that said that they hang out with the children at family events, so they avoid the adult conversations. So I think it just related to Uncle Bob. What about if Uncle Bob is a real conspiracy theorist? Do you still just say, "Oh, where are you getting your information," or how do you approach that?
Well, there's a ton of my research digs into what makes good peacemakers, and one of the things that makes good peacemakers are people who actually engage in what I call real learning, not conspiracy theory learning, and not watching a few YouTube videos and deciding we're well informed about something. So I do think it's valuable to actually ask people who are conspiracy theorists where they're getting their information. But you don't need to, in the moment, try to shut them down, try to tell them they're morons. It's better to to ask, oh, have you looked at this source? Have you looked at that source? I've been kind of reading this other book, or I've been looking at this other news source. And try to get a sense of where your disagreements lie. And you can't do that if you at first don't understand where they're coming from and where they got the information for their conspiracy. That's critical. Just understanding that, again, is progress, even if it leads you to realize, okay, they don't have any good sources. That's progress, and there's no reason to really argue with that person anymore. You have to accept the fact that they're probably have conspiracy from bad sources, and you may not be able to change them in one day of conversation at Thanksgiving.
Let's talk about how you do have that conversation, though, because we've been talking about, hey, avoid it on Thanksgiving, avoid it on Christmas morning. Maybe it's not avoided, and maybe the subject does come up. How is it best once it's out of the bag and once the conversation is rolling and everybody's engaged to try to de-escalate the conflict part of it?
Well, let's say you've got someone who's a really good conversationalist and a really good peacemaker in the room, and I define a peacemaker as someone who can have productive conversations about difficult topics. You got everyone at the table spouting their opinions off on some topic. Peacemakers are really good at recognizing that most of us, most of the time, on most topics, have absolutely no idea what we're talking about. And so you want someone to be the voice of reason at the table that just kind of points that out, right? I don't really know a lot about this. Can we just take a few steps back and why don't we tell me a little bit about so-and-so's policies on this topic, or trying to just understand what the topic is. I mean, the joke I like to make when I speak to audiences around the country is I've watched people sit around and engage in hours-long arguments about tariff trade policy. Most of them don't even know if the word tariff has two R's or two F's in it.
Right.
So, maybe just start with how do we spell the word tariff and go from there and recognize how little we all actually know about most topics. And you can be the person at the table who, in a delicate way, kind of points that out by asking thoughtful questions that gets everyone to recognize maybe they don't really know as much as they think they do, but they're just spouting opinions as strong as they possibly can.
I have a texter who says that their family can't bring up Santa Claus around their brother or his family because they brought their kids up with different beliefs and Santa wasn't in it. So they feel like it's been pushed out of Christmas celebrations for the broader family. Is that something where you see people putting their foot down and say, if you have so-and-so come over, I won't come. If you believe this or talk this, I won't come. How do you navigate around those?
Well, that's obviously a much more difficult problem. I do think you don't want to navigate it in front of in front of the whole group. So there's a lot of research that shows when you try to pin people down on difficult topics in front of a group, it's almost guaranteed to result in a fight and people digging in their positions because there's a lot of image that they have to maintain and they have to try to convince other people in the room. It's not just a one-on-one conversation. So these are the types of conversations that need to be had between individuals to try to resolve something and come to some agreement before you all get together as a group on that. And then you have to talk about the subject. You have to talk about what people can live with, what they can't, and how you can all get together without, respecting one family, without ruining Christmas for everyone else from their standpoint. That's critical conversations, but they need to happen one-on-one well before you're all together in a group setting.
I have one final question for you. How do you deal with the brother-in-law who's the expert in everything?
Well, I will say that I actually, in my book and my research, I have advice for the experts. I mean, occasionally there are people who are experts on a given topic, right? It's best, though, if you're an expert on a given topic, to wait until people actually acknowledge that you're an expert, which takes a long time. Sometimes people don't want to do that. What you don't want to do is come in and say, hey, I know everything about this, and then start spouting off. That will just upset people. Now, you're talking about someone who thinks they're an expert on everything, but they're actually an expert on probably nothing. And that's the challenge here. The key for a lot of folks like this, there's been research that shows you don't want to ask them questions about how they got to the opinion they've reached, a bunch of questions that make them feel defensive, like you're trying to undermine them. But there's been research that shows if you ask people who have really strong opinions about something, what the going forward implications are, and you're not asking to prove a point, you're just asking sincere questions to ask, well, what's the implications of the next step if we do what you're suggesting? What's the implications of the next step? Asking people to think forward in time about the implications of their really strong opinions actually has been proven to cause them to soften their opinions. And so sometimes you can do that. Now, like some of these people are just going to go off no matter what. There's only so much you can do. But I do think asking just those types of questions and having those conversations about next steps can at least get them to just soften things. And if that doesn't work, put on a sports game or a movie that they love so they'll stop talking about all their opinions on everything and then just have fun watching that together.
Great advice.
Thanks so much, Stephen. We were talking with Stephen Collis, law professor at the University of Texas, Austin, and author of the great book, Habits of a Peacemaker.
And we are getting some breaking news. We're watching CNN right now indicating that a judge has dismissed the Department of Justice cases against James Comey and Letitia James. Both of those were brought in the Eastern District of Virginia against former FBI Director James Comey and former New York Attorney General, I think, Letitia James. Both of those indictments are now dismissed by a judge. We'll get more on that later, but we're learning that from CNN. It seems to be the only outlet that's reporting that right now. Well, Fox News is as well. So it looks like that's been something that's happened recently. We'll follow up on that later. We'll be right back.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Hurry! It's your last chance to donate for 2025. Last chance! Donate now for a 2025 tax deduction.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Join KSL and the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1 at the Salt Lake NPS store, 1600 Empire Road in Salt Lake City, npsstore.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh.
Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, if you feel like crime is becoming less of a problem, you may be right. And new statistics from the FBI and other authorities show that crime is actually dropping. In fact, we're looking at a study done by the Gallup poll that showed that even Americans are now believing that crime is not as serious as they had in the past.
And I think that's the key issue, right, is that the crime has been dropping, but public opinion thought it was going up. Isn't that right? Jay Evenson, who joins us today.
Yes, that's exactly right. And this is why this poll caught my eye and the eye of the editorial board, is because crime has kind of been on the way down since the 90s. I mean, we've had some spikes since then, and during the pandemic, we had a big spike. But when you ask people whether crime is up or down, you generally get told that it's up. People's perception is that it's up. And we've been weaned on that for many, many years. And because it was true when I was growing up that crime always was getting worse. And then politicians always try to reinforce that when they're running for office. You know, what's the number one promise? I'm gonna make
clean up the
safe.
streets.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And the media bears some responsibility too, because we tend to emphasize stories about crime, and so it makes you feel like crime is happening. But this poll shows only 49% of people feel like crime is on the way up and is a growing problem. And so that's the first time in a long time that less than 50% of people have felt that way. And the truth is, crime is down. It's down significantly. I quote some statistics here that in 24, this according to the FBI, murder and negligent manslaughter fell by 14.9% over year. Rapes are down 5.2%, aggravated assault down 3%, and robbery down 8.9%. So things are getting better.
Yeah, especially as it relates to violent crimes, which are what you just described, Jay, that we have seen in our bigger cities that crime has gone down. What you just articulated, I think you maybe answered my question, but it seems like politicians are always saying, "Hey, we've got a crime problem." Even our own administration, we're bringing the National Guard into some of these cities because it's gotten out of hand. It does seem like it's a political issue at times, more than a public safety issue.
When you look at polls down through the years, the party that is in power tends to say that crime is getting better. And the party that's out of power says it's getting worse. That's what makes this year kind of an anomaly, because a lot of Republicans feel like it's getting worse, but the Democrats who are out of power who feel like it's getting better. And so it's kind of, things are a little bit topsy-turvy. Of course, we have the president sending troops into many of our major cities and trying to use the excuse that they're awash in crime. The statistics just don't bear that out. Now, I'm not trying to minimize the fact that we still have a lot of crime in this country. In fact, I brought a few statistics. In the last year, in 24, there were still 16,935 murders in the country. Now, the fact that that was 15% less than the year before doesn't help you much if you knew one of those 16,000 people. But we often talk about mass shootings. We hear a lot about those. That's about 1% or 2% of the total murders in the country. And we have about 340 million people. Now, if you look at the number of people who died from influenza last year, that was about 28,000. How many people died in fatal car accidents? Just under 40,000. So your chances of being murdered in this country are quite low compared to other ways that you can die.
Well, that's
including the flu, right?
Yeah. It's dangerous to live.
It is. We're talking with Jay Evenson, opinion editor of the Deseret News. So I'm wondering on this, on these crime stats, are we, like, is there something that has really caused this shift for crime to drop? Is it better policing? Is it better laws? Is it just people have slowed down on the crimes that we commit in general?
Well, one factor is that we're becoming older as a nation, and crime,
you can't run away.
crime tends to be a young person's game, and
you're
so,
exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. So the older we are, the less inclined we are to commit crimes. The other interesting factor is that there are cameras everywhere now, and surveillance cameras. Everyone has a Ring camera or a doorbell camera. And so it makes it harder to get away with something like robbery or premeditated types of crimes. So those are two things that are being floated out there. Really, though, nobody seems to have a firm grasp on why it's getting better.
I mean, to me, working in the criminal justice system, Jay, I just think we're doing a better job at dealing with crime. I think our law enforcement, and I'm digressing a little bit here, is better trained. Like you said, a crime scene investigation, cameras, that type of thing is better done. But I also think, having been a lawyer in the criminal justice system for 43 years, every year the legislature is going to get tougher on crime. Every time there's a new DA or an attorney general or even a Department of Justice at AG nationwide, boy, we're going to crack down on crime. So they tend to. We've criminalized things that weren't a crime when I started practicing law to try to crack down on crime, which would make you almost think there'd be a spike in crime because there's more definitions of crime. But in fact, I think we've done a good job, and I know there's a question in here somewhere, Jay. I think we're doing a good job nationally of recognizing maybe that just throwing people in jail or in prison for 5 or 10 years isn't going to solve crime, and maybe we're doing more to help with the rehabilitative components of that.
Yeah, and there was a lot of criticism about 20 or so years ago that we are throwing too many people in crime. You'll remember we had the 3 strikes laws, and so people for relatively petty crimes were being thrown away forever, supposedly.
Right.
So that's the other component to it is our real rehabilitation and our incarceration rates and that type of thing. You're never going to get politicians, though, to stop harping on crime because it's something visceral and easy and simple to understand for the voter, whether it's true or not. So there are only so many issues, that you can hit as a politician that everyone resonates with. And even if the statistics show one thing, people are always going to say, well, I know about so-and-so who was mugged or robbed, and so it's always kind of in the back of the mind that there is crime.
I have 2 quick questions because we're almost out of time. But one is, do you think that there's any impact on our American love for true crime on how much we perceive crime is happening? And then I have a texter who says, this report doesn't seem to consider cybercrime, government corruption, road rage, etc.
Yeah, to the second question, this report is kind of focused on the violent crimes and the person-on-person types of crimes. There are definitely problems with those other crimes that your texter mentioned. And then, we all have, not we all, but Americans in general have a love of true crime stories and that type of thing. I don't see that genre going away, and I think we're still going to be kind of obsessed with that.
But does it make it so that we think more crime is happening? That was the question there.
Probably so, yes.
Yeah.
I would think.
I watch a British show, Father Brown, and it's this little tiny English village, and there's a murder almost every week. It's like per capita, like the crime rate is like through the roof, right?
Really?
Which it wouldn't be realistic. So
yeah,
I do think, Jay, to sort of summarize a little bit about what your article is and what I've read here, we are doing a better job in this country and in this state and in this city at dealing with crime. And whatever you want to say, we've all had experiences where a friend or family member is a victim of crime, but it is better than it was, say, 10, 20, 30 years ago.
It is. And so, people talk about the good old days. Well, I guess these are kind of you never know you're living in the good old days until they're gone.
Right.
But that's true, yes.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us to talk about crime. Yay! No,
but it's a good news story.
No, it is. And one of the things that's interesting, Jay, is because I have talked to you and heard you say multiple times, look, the crime rate's dropping, but the public opinion doesn't reflect the reality of what we're seeing in crime statistics. So I appreciate you taking the time to come in and talk with us today about that.
Always happy. Thank you.
Thanks again, Jay. When we come back, we're going to revisit another segment we talked about earlier and talk with an expert on this concept we've learned more and more about today, which is called brain rot. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top story this hour is breaking news. A federal judge has dismissed the criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and the New York Attorney General Letitia James, saying the prosecutor who brought those charges, Lindsay Halligan, was illegally appointed by the Justice Department. Police say a woman injured a Salt Lake City police officer after running a red light this weekend. She was driving down State Street after 1 a.m. on Sunday when Salt Lake City Sergeant Greg Wilkins says she may have been looking at her phone and hit that patrol car near 800 South.
Distracted driving puts a lot of people in jeopardy. So you stay off your devices, pay attention to what you're doing when you're behind the wheel.
Wilkins says the officer was taken to a local hospital, treated, and let go the same day. Utah Highway Patrol was called to investigate, and the woman was cited. Gas prices are holding steady in much of the country, and they are also expected to drop over the next few weeks, something you don't normally expect with the holidays. Your money at this moment, markets are liking it. Dow's up 281 points, S&P 500 and NASDAQ both also up in positive territory as well. Coming up, the big changes coming later this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
The holidays are just around the corner, and Western Nut Company is here to make your gifting a breeze. From our beautiful gift baskets and nut boxes to our famous in-house fudge and brittle, we've got treats for every taste bud, crafted with the highest quality ingredients. Corporate gifting, that's our specialty. Just send us your list and we'll handle the rest. Beautifully packed, shipped with care, and guaranteed to impress. Calling all office managers or executive assistants. Call Western Nut now and let us make your holidays a little less nuts. But we actually do want you to eat more nuts. For 60 years, Western Nut has been a proud Utah tradition. Stop by our downtown shop for unique gifts, glittering ornaments, festive decor, and so much more. Western Nut Company, more than just the best gifts in Utah. We're a holiday tradition, in-store or online at westernut.com, where quality meets tradition, and every gift is packed with love.
Do you remember what was happening in America? Families struggling, billions in wasteful spending. But Senator Mike Lee fought back. He voted for working family tax cuts. And Senator Lee voted to crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse, saving taxpayers billions. So call Senator Mike Lee at 202-224-5444 and thank him for supporting the Working Families Tax Cut. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Ricky Meeks.
Light traffic and good speeds on the Valley freeways. Only one problem. We do have a disabled vehicle in traffic. This is southbound Bangerter Highway just before the 201 junction. So at about 1800 South in West Valley, they're blocking the left lane of travel. And downtown, crews have just wrapped up a crash at 7th South and 8th East. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cloudy with a high of 49 degrees this afternoon, and that's going to be pretty typical each day this week through Thanksgiving and into Black Friday. But starting Saturday, we're going to see a change in the pattern with rain and snow, a definite possibility. Right now, cloudy and 43 degrees. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We've been talking about this morning about some new findings from the American Psychological Association that have tied short-term video content from apps such as TikTok and Instagram's Reels to what researchers have called brain rot. I wish they had a better name for that.
Well, it's descriptive, right? And
it is.
We talked about this study that was published that has, it's a meta-analysis. So it was looking at 71 different studies, almost 100,000 individuals. And what they found was that there are some real impacts. So we have with us Dr. Matthew Checketts. He's a licensed clinical social worker at the University of Utah Huntsman Mental Health Institute Neurobehavior Home Program. So Dr. Checketts, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Can you tell us what is your first reaction to hearing about this meta-analysis that finds that short-term video can cause brain rot or basically have a big impact on our brain health?
Well, the first thing that I thought was it wasn't actually that surprising when we sort of think about times where we would maybe read books, but now really we're focused a lot on just video content. And it also made me think a lot about just things like executive functions or the ability to be kind of mentally flexible or hold back some of our responses. It was kind of my first thought.
Dr. Checketts, what do you think it is about these short form videos, these 15, 30, 60-second videos that make this more prevalent?
Well, I think that we have a tendency to just associate visually. So I think that we're constantly getting kind of new dopamine hits because we're seeing new content, opposed to having to listen for maybe long form information. I also think, though, that it plays to a lot of our cognitive biases. We have a tendency to really appreciate kind of our own opinions. And so, we have confirmation biases, or we learn visually, and so we see something and we agree with it because, again, it kind of plays to what that fundamental bias is.
So I know that this new study shows, this combination, right, shows increased anxiety, loneliness, poor sleep among heavy users. Are there symptoms that you see with your clients who struggle with social media use?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, many of the people that I work with are neurodivergent, So they're going to struggle a little bit with socializing anyway. And many times what benefits them is social interaction. Commonly, though, they're defaulting to just looking at their phones and really not practicing communication skills or being out in the community. So I think that that's particularly problematic for everyone, but definitely for the folks that I work with. And so if we think about the term neuroplasticity, we train our brain, and if we train our brain just to be online as opposed to train our brain to navigate new situations or social conversation, then we kind of find ourselves either learning and adapting through that training or simply becoming kind of consumed with just an automatic thought, which is this is what we see and this is what we say.
And Doctor, what can be the long-term consequences of this continued barrage of looking at these social media sites and just almost being obsessed with them?
Well, I think that you can find inhibition control is reduced, so we tend to be more reactive. Again, cognitive flexibility, so thinking about new ideas or metacognition, thinking about our thinking, tends to be a little bit reduced because we're not thinking, we're just reacting. And I just think fundamentally that we're just exposed to fewer ideas, and so our overall intelligence and broad knowledge tends to be a little bit based in an echo chamber instead of looking at all sorts of new information. So we just tend to know less.
So can you give our listeners and me as well some tips for how to both red flags for what to look at with our kids, but how to have better control over these platforms?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you can start with is just consolidate how many platforms you have on your phone. A lot of times I'll notice people that they have every social media site and they're posting across all social media sites, which realistically isn't necessary. Oftentimes people are maybe interacting on one more than the other. They may have push notifications turned on, and so there's a barrage of information that's kind of coming to them, which isn't particularly helpful or even necessary. So I think that there are some of those type of things that you can do that probably are helpful.
Dr. Checketts, this might be a little bit out of your wheelhouse, but do you suppose that there is a time and place for regulation and something that our legislature can do to try to limit what our young people are seeing and experiencing with some of these platforms?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, if we're looking at a platform that's intentionally stoking division, if their algorithm is built to that particular format, I think that there's probably a public voice that needs to be heard within that context because, we have to look at things socially. Certainly we should have the ability to engage in free speech and dialogue. Also, though, if those companies are forcing information and collating that information in a format that's intentionally harmful, that's not great. I think if you were to, again, look back at written media, say, for example, the newspapers, there was an intention of, looking at a pro and a con or trying to publish sort of both sides of an argument. Those things are useful because it forces us to consider all sides. And I think that's good for society.
I'm wondering what your advice is to parents who feel like they do have children who maybe are neurodivergent, as you mentioned, and they find real comfort in this scrolling, but it's also maybe not that healthy. How do you get them to integrate better socially and not just disappear into these apps?
Well, I work a lot with those individuals, and while I actually believe that it's quite helpful in many ways to engage in a small amount of scrolling, but also have sort of a diversity activity and break up that scrolling. So, for example, there are many times where someone's overstimulated or they're frustrated, and they may gain a benefit from just being involved in something visually. They also, though, have to practice and sort of, again, train their brain to set that phone down and move around, do something different, engage in sort of a broader collection of activities. In psychology, we call that behavioral activation because we're encouraging people to get up and move and go. And so I think really it's about the amount of time that you're spending engaged in those activities and whether or not you're doing other things.
Do you suppose that these findings from the American Psychological Association will have any effect on these platforms themselves, TikTok and Instagram? Maybe them realize you don't want to be associated with brain rot in your program. Do you suppose that any of these platforms will say, "Hey, we've taken these seriously, and here's what we're going to do"?
Well, we can hope so. I think that when you look at those platforms, I would suppose that there's a benefit for offering diverse content. I noticed the other day on YouTube that they were offering a teen account, and I thought that was a good sign. It seems to suggest that they're taking that quite seriously and, possibly promoting something a little different.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Dr. Matthew Checketts. He's a licensed clinical social worker at the University of Utah, Huntsman Mental Health Institute's Neurobehavior Home Program.
And it's good to get it's good to get that perspective and understand, from a clinician's point of view, the harm that this has caused.
Exactly. And I was struck by his comment that there can be good uses, even for kids who may struggle socially anyway, that there can be good uses of social media. That's one thing that I don't know that people necessarily are calling for a total ban on these. But look, your last question about will the social media companies do something about it? Not if it's making them money, they won't.
Yeah, maybe not. But Dr. Checketts did also talk about the pushback that we'll get, which is, hey, it's the First Amendment, it's speech, it's content, it's that type of thing. But when it comes to harming listeners or harming our young people, maybe it's time that we jump in and either, if the platforms themselves don't do it, maybe our regulators will.
I don't know. On some certain types of content, I just don't know on the brain rot stuff, because most of it is lower quality content anyway.
Well, we're learning more and more about a federal judge who has dismissed criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, concluding that the prosecutor who brought the charges at President Donald Trump's request was illegally appointed by the Justice Department. We'll talk about what that means. The case is being dismissed. Are they over? Are they over for now? We'll break that down when we come back after the break. Stay with us.
Hard to believe, but Black Friday's here, and you know what that means. It's time for Black Friday money deals at UCCU.
There is an annual tradition now for Black Friday at UCCU where people look forward to, because unlike other Black Friday sales, Black Friday at UCCU is your chance to actually improve your finances.
Like a home equity loan with extra 0.25% off the intro rate, auto and RV loans with no payment for 90 days, low-rate credit cards with 0% interest for 6 months, and $150 cash just for signing up for direct deposit.
It's so easy, and that's just the beginning of Black Friday money deals. Keep going to uccu.com every week for new premium deals that will unlock, and they're things like cutting your auto loan rate in half to earning a higher interest rate on your savings. Enter each week for a chance to win these awesome prizes.
But you got to visit uccu.com every week. But if you come back and enter every time a new deal unlocks, you can win them all. So don't just enter once. Go every week, unlock every deal, and win big this Black Friday at UCCU.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
A matchup. Ready? Nobody. Set. Expected. Go. When it comes to athletes, there's fast.
How fast are you going at top speed?
And then there's Olympic medalist fast.
Where did he go?
But what does that speed look like compared to the average journalist?
You nervous? What if I beat you, man?
Oh, man. KSL's Alex Cabrera laces up and goes head-to-head in a skate-off with Utah's very own Casey Dawson.
You see how close I came?
Tonight at 10.
Quiet down. Here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-1728. That's 800-275-1728.
The Utah Mammoth and Smiths are teaming up to get you to the game with qualifying Smiths purchases. You can score single goal view tickets, hot dog and a bottle of water included for just $15. The catch? These tickets go fast. Download the Utah Mammoth app, enable push notifications, and be the first to know when new tickets are released. Shop at Smiths and snag your seat for $15. Simple. Grab the Utah Mammoth app today and watch for the next release. Tusks up.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Most folks wait till January to say, I should probably fix this or do something about how you feel. But you know what? You're going to go into 2026 with the resolution already done because soda helps you lose the weight now, so your New Year's all celebration.
You and I both started our soda weight loss journey in October and November, right? And I loved going into holiday parties knowing I had a plan. It wasn't just, I'm going to try not to. It was, this is my plan, because I've spoken with a nutritionist and I get a jump start on that, first of the year goal by beginning soda weight loss right now.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. You're supported every step of the way, and you need that. And right now, there's an amazing offer from Soda for you and your partner. You join, and your partner joins for free.
So why gain 20 pounds just to lose it in the new year? Go to Soda Weight Loss today and begin today.
That's sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The new Inside Sources.
We're following up on some fairly breaking news today. In fact, it broke since our show has started today, but a federal judge in the Eastern District of Virginia has dismissed the criminal indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, concluding that the prosecutor who brought the charges at President Donald Trump's urging was illegally appointed by the Justice Department. So if you recall, and this happens every time there's a new administration. The president will typically ask all of the sitting United States attorneys to tender their resignation. If not, they'll usually just be fired. And then the president will appoint a U.S. attorney for each district. Sometimes they'll keep the one that was there before. It sort of goes on a state-by-state basis. But the district can appoint a acting U.S. attorney for something like 120 days,
right?
But they can't just reappoint and
right.
get a new U.S. attorney every 120 days. At some point, you have to put up or shut up. So, in the Eastern District of Virginia, they appointed last name was Siebert as the U.S. attorney to lead the office for 120 days.
Yeah, his name is Eric.
Eric Siebert, right? And Eric Siebert wouldn't file these indictments. Eric Siebert said, I don't think there's a good case here against James Comey. I don't think there's a good case against Letitia James. And they're both different. Comey's was based on whether or not he instructed subordinates to lie to Congress or to lie to the media about some Russian collusion. Letitia James was brought whether or not she had authority to bring charges against Donald Trump or whether or not she had her own baggage at the time. So they're independent indictments, but they're both individuals who got in the crosshairs of Donald Trump. So the two different indictments brought in the same district, which is a little bit unusual, and the judge now saying, well, the prosecutor that brought these two indictments didn't have authority to do that. She was inappropriately appointed to that position. And so anything she did, and by the way, if you recall, she did these herself. It wasn't like her staff did it because nobody in the staff would sign the indictments.
Right.
So she had a heart. So she just said, okay, I'll do it myself. Went to the grand jury herself, it appears, brought the indictments, and there were all kinds of problems with the indictments because it's not an area of law that she had historically practiced. And even the judge at the trial court level was like, hey, you did this wrong, you did this indictment wrong. Now the judge has dismissed both of these indictments.
So I'm looking at a Washington Post article that says Halligan, who is the one that the judge is saying was illegally appointed, that she has no previous prosecutorial experience. And she took both cases before grand juries. But I know that you and I talked about, I think last week, the end of last week, about the Comey case where Comey is saying that the grand jury didn't even see the final indictment, that she just got sign-off by the head, the chair.
The presiding officer of the grand jury was the only one that signed it, where the grand jury itself didn't. That was another flaw. It doesn't seem to be the basis for the judge dismissing this indictment, although the attorneys for Comey and Letitia James argued several factors under which the indictments could be dismissed. The judge, as I'm reading it right now, and again, this is literally breaking news, was mostly concerned about the inappropriate appointment of the prosecutor. So the prosecutor wasn't appointed properly. She didn't have authority to bring charges at all, so the charges are dismissed. And importantly, it's without prejudice, meaning they can be refiled. Now, I want to break that down a little bit because the Comey indictment was filed literally days before the statute of limitations ran. So his filing without prejudice means they could refile it, but now the Department of Justice has a statute of limitations problem. So again, I mean, I don't pretend to read between the lines on all this, but his case was brought because they were up against the statute of limitations. They're now past that. I don't know that his case can ever be brought again, even though it's dismissed without prejudice, meaning it can be refiled.
So the U.S. District Court judge ruled, as you mentioned, that Lindsay Halligan was unlawfully appointed. However, at the same time that he ruled that it was brought without prejudice, he denied a request from the Justice Department that was wanting to indict them again under a lawfully appointed prosecutor, and he said no.
Yeah, so that's going to raise a separate set of problems for the Justice Department if they want to bring these, because he's saying, he or she, I don't know the gender of the judge, it doesn't matter, but
Cameron.
He's saying, hey, don't just think you're going to get a good U.S. attorney tomorrow and we're going to refile these. He's going to make them jump through all the hoops again and do everything right if they choose to refile these. I mean, Comey and Letitia James are sort of touting this as a huge victory. I would feel better if I was Comey's attorneys than Letitia James because of the statute of limitations problem, because that could be an absolute bar to refiling any charges against him.
So look, I'm reading, and as you mentioned, it's just breaking, but I'm reading that they expect that there will be an appeal. If there's an appeal, because they're talking specifically about Halligan being appointed illegally, if there's an appeal, is the case then ongoing for Comey and he doesn't run into the statute of limitations? Like, help me understand that. I don't understand.
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. So right now the cases are dismissed. If they are appealed and the appeal prevails, they will be as though they were never dismissed. So the statute of limitations isn't going to benefit him.
Okay.
And that'll go to because it was decided by the district court, so it'll go to the circuit court, the court of appeals in that area. It could eventually go to the United States Supreme Court. I don't know, because it's not maybe they'll hear it. But I mean, it's a significant case for public interest, but it's not a significant case in terms of dealing with our Constitution and the big things that the United States Supreme Court likes to deal with. This is whether or not a interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia had authority to bring an indictment. It's fairly limited to that specific issue, and a judge saying no. The Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals might say you're right. You got to do it right. And if the prosecutor doesn't have authority, because you can't just the U.S. Attorney's Office couldn't just say, hey, Skordas, will you file an indictment? I mean, you have to go through the process. You have to get presidential appointment. You have to get confirmation by the Senate. There are certain things you need to do, and it's not the kind of thing you can just have somebody do it for 120 days and then, we'll change our mind and have somebody else do it. At some point, you have to have a lawfully appointed United States attorney. We just appointed one here in Utah, I think 2 weeks ago. We had an interim U.S. attorney.
I think she's still interim, isn't she?
Yeah, but she's just going through the confirmation process, which won't be a problem for her because she doesn't have any issues to deal with. But we had an acting U.S. attorney because after the election, the U.S. attorney for the District of Utah, Trina Higgins, resigned. Phil Vitti, one of her deputies, was assigned to be acting U.S. attorney until they got the new one appointed, and then they just appointed this woman who used to be Sean Reyes's Solicitor General. I mean, she's got a tremendous amount of experience.
And then she was an FCC commissioner as well.
Commissioner with the FCC, right.
Yeah. So
Utah's doing it right.
Okay, so
presumably.
So what are the potential remedies if you're the DOJ and you really want these cases to go forward?
Well, the first remedy would be to appeal and see if the Court of Appeals will throw this aside and say, look, maybe they didn't dot all their I's or cross their T's, but the spirit of the law was followed, and she was the duly appointed United States attorney for that district, and we should let this system run itself out. They may also argue that since the case was filed within the statute of limitations on Comey, that they could go ahead and refile it. I mean, you can always start over. You can always say, okay, you win. Let's just do this right now, which I think will make it easier to file against Letitia James and James Comey because I assume they're not up against the statute of limitations. So they can say, okay, oops, we did it wrong. We're the Department of Justice. We're going to get a lawfully appointed U.S. attorney. We're going to go through a lawfully set up grand jury. We're going to have U.S. attorneys, assistant U.S. attorneys in that division who will sign off on this, and we'll do it the way we're supposed to, that we should have done it at the first. The problem was they couldn't get U.S. attorneys to file this case, which is why the whole thing happened in the first place, which is why the former U.S. attorney for that district left. He's like, I'm not filing this case.
He was forced out,
right,
because he's like, there's nothing here.
Right.
Well, that is super interesting. So thank you for breaking that down for us. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's breaking news, and we'll follow that. We're going to learn a lot more about that in the next couple of weeks.
So we're continuing our KSL Kindness series this morning. and talking about a Salt Lake City breakfast hotspot that's using its community roots to help Utahns who may not have a warm place to stay this winter. We're going to speak with the owner of Park Cafe after the break.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top national story this hour. A federal judge has thrown out the criminal cases against New York Attorney General Letitia James and former FBI Director James Comey because the prosecutor wasn't appointed lawfully. Federal law says when a top federal prosecutor's post is vacant for 120 days, the district court appoints the replacement. That didn't happen. Acting U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan was nominated by the president back in September and then went on to indict both Comey and James. Accordingly, both cases now again being dismissed. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 299 points, S&P 500 up 106, NASDAQ up more than 2.5% right now. The first half of the week looks great for holiday travel, but you may want to keep an eye on the forecast for after Thanksgiving. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson reports.
There's this big high-pressure system that's hanging out, keeping storms away. But the KSL Weather Center says that high pressure, it's going to move later this week, opening the door for northern storms. Right now, the models, they're all over the place, so it's hard to say how big or small these storms might be. But Matt Johnson tells me, be prepared for rain, possibly Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it could get cold enough, some of that will fall as snow.
Of course, you get traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s during both Utah's Morning News and Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, so stick with us all week long and we'll keep you up to speed. Coming up, we'll tell you what we know right now about that forecast. KSL Weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking out items down, 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1, and that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Black Friday deals are back at Scandinavian Designs. For a limited time, discover incredible savings on Nordic-inspired furniture and decor for every space in your home. From statement pieces for your living room to instant upgrades for the dining room, bedroom, and more. It's the perfect time to refresh your favorite space or reimagine your entire home. Scandinavian Designs. We make it simple. You make it home. Stop by your local showroom today or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Charlie's battery is struggling to start. Not ideal before the tailgate, so he goes to AutoZone,
Welcome to AutoZone.
where a friendly AutoZoner tests his battery for free. Looks like he needs a new one, so he gets a Duralast battery.
Have fun and stay warm.
And he makes it to the tailgate early enough to get his favorite spot. Free battery testing and charging. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Ricky Meese, what's going on?
It is so quiet on the roads. Now, we don't know if this is the calm before the storm, but with it being a holiday week, right now, you will not see anything to get in your way and slow you down on the Valley freeways, including I-15 north or southbound between Willard Bay and Utah Lake, and the disabled vehicle that we had southbound Bangerter Highway about 1800 south, blocking a left lane, has cleared. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cloudy this afternoon with a high of 49 degrees this afternoon, and that is basically where we're going to stay all week long. Mid-40s to mid-50s every day, cloudy skies until Saturday, when we could see that change in the weather pattern coming. Rain and snow a possibility right now. It's a 40% chance of precipitation on Saturday. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We continue our KSL Kindness series this morning, powered by One Kind Act a Day, a project by the Semnani Family Foundation. Learn more at powerofkind.org. We're talking this morning about a Salt Lake City breakfast hotspot using its community roots to help Utahns who may not have a warm place to stay this winter, and this is the Park Cafe.
Yeah, and Park Cafe is teaming up with the Sober Riders Motorcycle Club to collect warm winter gear, coats, hats, gloves, blankets, etc. to support Utahns who are living without shelter right now. And we have on the line with us Sean Miller, the owner of Park Cafe. Welcome to our show. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So, Sean, Park Cafe has been described as a gathering place. It seems like it's always packed. Can you tell us if that sense of community influenced your decision to start this donation drive?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We're lucky enough to be located in the neighborhood, right across the street from the Liberty Park. And so we kind of get to see a little bit of like what's going on in our city, pretty much a snapshot right outside our window every day.
So tell us about this project that you've got. You've teamed up with the Sober Riders Motorcycle Club. I'm familiar with that group. And what is it that you're doing? What's this partnership like?
Well, so every year the Sober Riders Motorcycle Club, the men and women in that club, they do a lot of stuff around town to just try philanthropic. Sorry, I messed up the word. Trying to do a lot of stuff around town for a lot of people. And they came and told me that they were interested in having me be a drop-off spot. So more than anything, we've been trying to get the word out, and it's been working really well, really well. They're such great people.
So can you remind our listeners exactly what it is that you're collecting?
Yeah, we are collecting any cold weather clothing or blankets, tents, anything that can be helpful for the men and women that are without homes, especially around the holiday season.
And how can our listeners help? What is it that they can do?
We have a drop-off that's sitting outside the cafe from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. every single day. So if they have the ability to, they're welcome to come down and drop it off. We have been able to coordinate a couple pickups as well, and that can be done through our cafe phone number at 801-487-1670.
So, Sean, do you have a particular goal that you're trying to meet? Is there a certain number of coats or blankets that you're trying to collect?
Right now, it's been pretty amazing. The community outreach, especially being on KSL, thank you all so much for helping us get the word out, has been pretty amazing. Our community is so fantastic. We've had at least 3 drop-offs already, and I have 5 full moving bags full of coats that are waiting to go as well. So we're trying not to cap this. We just like to keep it going and make sure that our homeless shelters are well-stocked, as well as if we're able to just handing out jackets to people that might need them.
Sean, can you remind our listeners as to where the Park Cafe is? I'm going to guess that it's the southeast corner of Liberty Park.
That is correct. We were like, well, it's the South Central, but thank you very much for even knowing where we're by. I appreciate that. It's 604 East and 1300 South, across the street again from that south entrance of Liberty Park, right where you would turn in if you're going to park in the south side.
How are you hoping to continue these efforts, or are you hoping to do something else during the summer, or just revisit this every winter?
I think that for right now, we just started with this, but honestly, selfishly, it makes me feel so good. And I think that is something that I love, to be able to know that I'm doing something for my community, the community that takes such good care of our cafe. So I would like to keep things going throughout the year. I'm sure that we'll be able to figure out where need is in other places coming out, especially as we get into the warmer months.
Can I ask a question about the collections that you're making? Are you wanting only new, or can they be gently used?
We've been taking both. Most of what we've taken in so far is used. So that can really be of so much help, because the sober riders have actually, at this moment, before it gets super cold, have actually been going around town and handing out jackets to people. And we've been able to do that here at the park as well. So it's not really a matter if it's brand new or not. Mostly if it's really warm. We're going to get colder here. It looks like not this week, but here coming up pretty quick. And those freezing temperatures, it breaks my heart seeing people out there without enough.
And your focus here, Sean, is winter gear, coats, gloves, hats, blankets, that type of thing, correct?
Yes, right now. I just don't want to bog the shelters down with warm weather items right now, because I'd imagine they have a limited amount of space too, with the amount of space that coats take. So I think right now, if we can just focus on the cold weather stuff, and then getting closer into the spring and summer, if we can start, hopefully we'll be able to come up with a donation that's going to help directly as well.
We worked with the Sober Riders a couple years ago with our drug court, and we did a similar project. I'm glad you're running with it in a better way now, Sean. But I was surprised then that blankets were so important and so needed. But because we always think of coats and hats and gloves, but blankets are also very, very wanted by the community that's trying to deal with cold weather.
It's kind of crazy, I think, for most of us that are in a more fortunate space where we don't deal with that on the day-to-day. It's kind of hard to remember that this is stuff for them to, a lot of people are sleeping at night out in the elements, the shelters are pretty full. I know we have trouble in making new ones with just the way things are right now. And then, there's a lot of plans up in the air, but the amount of people that are on our streets seems to be growing. So I think the blankets become more and more necessary, because we have to kind of be realizing that this is not just during the day when they're walking around, but at night too. They need that kind of stuff to stay extremely warm as possible, at least.
Thank you for that, Sean. I I really want to applaud you for taking the initiative and working with the Sober Riders Motorcycle Club to help our friends that do not have shelter right now. What do you think about local businesses and how other businesses, maybe like yours, could play a role in supporting vulnerable populations, or even just during this holiday time?
I've been noticing just on social media how many restaurants are stepping up. As there's been a little bit of issues with like EBT cards and things like that. There are restaurants around town that are offering free meals. I appreciate the praise, but really I'm just a spot for people to come and bring stuff, and then a mouthpiece to try to help get the word out, because we sometimes just need that little bit of a reminder. We're all such busy people, and we have our day-to-day, and we're thinking about what's going on in our world and our circle, but sometimes that little reminder is like, you know what, I do have an extra jacket. I do have an extra couple blankets. I could just pop down and then hopefully, stop by and just say hello as well while they're in.
Thank you, Sean. That was Sean Miller, owner of the Park Cafe. And Holly, this is a great idea, and I can't applaud the Park Cafe. No surprise, by the way. They are very active in the community, and the Sober Riders Club for getting together, coming to terms on something that makes a lot of sense to help our cold weather population deal with that. Coats, hats, gloves, blankets, that type of thing. Because we've been dealing a lot with food and pantries and kitchens and things like that.
Right.
But it's getting cold. I mean, it was a cold weekend, and people who are outside more than they want to be are really exposed to those temperatures.
I thought it was very chilly this morning, and still drove by people who were sleeping outside on my way to work, and it is heartbreaking. And so just organizations like this are ones that, again, I applaud, and I really love this KSL Kindness series that we're talking about. And sometimes it's larger organizations we've heard of before, and sometimes it's not. So you have heard of Sober Riders and the Park Cafe, and I had heard of neither before today.
Yeah, we've worked with them both in terms of the drug court community, and just the Sober Riders have been very helpful with us. So we're reminding our listeners that the Park Cafe is collecting coats, gloves, hats, sweaters, and especially blankets, with shelters expecting to see increased demand as temperatures fall. Donations can be dropped off 7 days a week from 7 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Park Cafe, which is on 13th South and 6th East. I think you said 605 East, just across the street going south from Liberty Park. It's also a great place to have lunch or breakfast. I like the Park Cafe. When we come back, we're going to talk more about some holiday kindness and Holly's daily dose of fun facts. Stay with us.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
When I asked Scott Lucky if his last name had anything to do with his success in the trucking industry, he laughed and said, "Well, Mike, I guess you could say I've always been lucky." But when I asked him how he and his family grew Lucky Distribution Services into the company it is today, he didn't talk about luck at all. "We work hard," he said. "We keep a close eye on the bottom line, and we treat our people the right way." In other words, Scott Lucky makes his own luck, which is precisely why he switched to Pure Talk Business. Last month, I paid the big guys $740 for 12 lines, he told me. This month, I paid Pure Talk $420 for the exact same service. Thousands of businesses all over the country are saving real money by switching to America's most dependable 5G network, and luck has nothing to do with it. Just dial pound 250 and say micro. That's pound 250 micro to switch to a wireless company that works as hard as you do. Pure Talk.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For 50 years, CRSA has shaped communities across Utah and the Intermountain West. From preserving landmarks to designing modern campuses, civic centers, and religious spaces. With a people-first approach, they create environments that connect people and strengthen community. President Roger Hansen joins us with more.
At CRSA, we believe that architecture starts with people and our connection to place. We create environments that elevate the human experience by solving complex design challenges with creativity and clarity. For 5 decades, our architects, interior designers, and planners have helped communities honor their past while designing for the future. Every project reflects thoughtful and intentional design. Our roots are in historic preservation, revitalizing main streets and restoring the landmarks that shape Utah's identity. That same respect for heritage now guides our work in civic, higher education, religious, government, and commercial projects across the Intermountain West. Whether it's the Taylorsville State Office Building, the Manti Temple remodel, or the Davis Tech Welding and Fabrication Building, we design spaces that bring people together, strengthen community, and inspire purpose. As we celebrate 5 decades of design, CRSA continues to shape spaces that help our communities thrive. Visit us at crsa.com.
CRSA's work continues to strengthen Utah by creating spaces that support communities, encourage local growth, and bring people together. Their projects contribute to a thriving, vibrant state. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources.
This weekend, the BYU Cougars played the Cincinnati Bearcats in Cincinnati. The BYU team won, and we learned a couple things about the University of Cincinnati. One is, Holly, that they have a pantry, and over the last academic year, more than 2,200 students, staff, and faculty have visited the pantry to receive assistance for food insecurity. And 2, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints donated 27,000 pounds of food, which is, I think...
Before the game,
which is the largest donation in history of that pantry. It's probably... I mean, you looked at the crates and whatnot that were going into this area. Yeah. This is probably bigger than any 2 or 3 years donations.
Yeah. So one of the things that the University of Cincinnati said is that they were moved beyond words for this donation, right? And it's one of the things I think that BYU does as they travel, is they do service in the areas like where they're going. And so in this case, it was in conjunction with the church, as you mentioned, that sent a truckload of this food. That's a lot of food to store also, but it's interesting to me and great that they are epitomizing, I guess, the BYU motto, enter to learn, go forth to serve, right? So they're taking the opportunity to serve no matter where they go.
Yeah, and the truck arrived. It was met by a few dozen BYU blue-clad fans, church members, full-time Latter-day Saint missionaries who lived in the area, who helped not only They didn't just drop it off. They actually had people there that were stocking the shelves, unloading the boxes. 27,000 pounds of food. So impressive, and such a huge, and what a great camaraderie message between the two schools.
Yeah.
I mean, these are two Big 12 schools who
Right.
who were fighting for the championship. I mean, Cincinnati and BYU were, I think BYU's in second and Cincinnati was in fourth place in the conference. This was a big game.
Yeah.
It was a nationally televised game, and BYU won the game, but that's secondary to what they did there in the Big 12 community. Just the support that they have from the Latter-day Saint missionaries and the BYU community.
Well, we were just speaking to Sean Miller here locally about what people need and coats, and we did have a texter remind us that socks are also needed. And I'm sure with your experience skiing, you know how important it is to keep your feet warm. But they also teamed up. The Cougars and the Bearcats teamed up to collect winter coats at their tailgate event. And they had so many coats that one of the people said, my garage is like piled high. It's almost ridiculous how many coats were donated. And that was what they did for like the tailgate program. So just way to go and way to serve the communities. And, you know, not everything was super happy with that game, but all in all, I think it's really a great opportunity to show how you can. It's not the game that is the most important, really.
Yeah, and there are always individuals at the games who chant inappropriate messages, and of course, the BYU seems to get its share of inappropriate messages just because it's a religious school, and this was no exception. But that's just an anomaly. There's always a couple bad apples no matter where you go.
Yeah, so it was a great opportunity. Yeah,
But this was a huge contribution. Got to hand it to BYU and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for what they did.
There are other ongoing efforts of kindness, and you know we love to hear from our texters. But this is coming up. It's not quite there yet, but it'll be next week. So after Thanksgiving, the Festival of Trees, right? That benefits Primary Children's. The Larry H. Miller Company just did an annual Thanksgiving event that they were aiming to feed, I think, several thousand people. So there's just a lot of people. In fact, today I'm dropping off food donations for a smaller organization down in my area that's trying to feed 200 families for Thanksgiving. So I am donating 40 cans of corn and 20 cans of beans.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Are you traveling this weekend?
Oh, no.
It's a big weekend, record number of people getting ready to travel. Apparently, AAA projects just under 82 million people will travel at least 50 miles.
It's really a lot.
Between tomorrow and Monday. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. Most of them are driving, and 6 million people are expected to fly, which is now you know why that's the busiest travel weekend of the year.
Sure it is.
Look, I need to tell you about some fun facts.
Okay.
So do you know D.B. Cooper?
I remember this story.
Okay, so tell us about the story.
Okay, so D.B. Cooper was probably, I'm guessing close to 35 or 40 years ago, hijacked an airplane, got a tremendous amount of money, baggage, and a parachute, and jumped out of it somewhere, maybe, who knows, but he was never found.
And I think the money was never found.
Right. So I'm assuming he got caught up in a tree, may still be there. But who knows what happened with D.B. Cooper? You would think if you pulled off that heist, people just can't resist the temptation to say, I did it.
Yeah.
But so far, nobody's come forward and said, I did it.
So here's some interesting facts about that. So it's D.B. Cooper Day today because it was on November 24th in 1971, actually. So it has been quite a while, 50 years. More than 50 years. And he, D.B. Cooper is actually an alias. They don't know the real identity of the person who did this. So you're right. He hijacked a plane. He told people he had a bomb. He demanded $200,000 in ransom money. That'd be equivalent to over $1.5 million today. But the only thing that they have found was about $5,800 in 1980. So almost a decade later, they found it near the Columbia River, near Vancouver, Washington. But otherwise, we don't know who he was, and we don't know where the money is.
My guess is landing didn't work out too well for D.B. Cooper, but you would have still expected them to find a body or the remaining funds. I mean, $200,000.
Right. That's why it's an interesting mystery. Right?
There was actually a club here in Utah for years called D.B. Cooper's.
And there was like a copycat, I think, ransom thing in Utah, based in Utah, like 6 months later, something like that.
Yeah.
All right, DB Cooper Day. It's slim pickings today. I'll just tell you that. So, I will say this: on November 24th, 1784, Zachary Taylor was born. He was a major general in the Mexican-American War, and he ended up becoming the 12th U.S. president of the United States.
Yes, right.
Yeah, 49 to 50, right? So he just served one term, or half of a term, it looks like. So on this day in 1896, this is interesting to me, the first U.S. absentee voting law was enacted. So you didn't have to show up in person at the polls.
Which was huge for military
more than
personnel.
100 years. Guess what state?
Not Utah.
No.
Oh.
Vermont.
Okay. Because
So-
Utah has a significant absentee population.
We
if
do
you
now,
consider
yeah.
People who are serving on missions, right?
I just thought it was interesting that it was well over 100 years ago that the first absentee voting law was enacted. Okay.
Well, because we think of voting, especially back then, voter security, show up, show us your face, and we'll give you a ballot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Absentee, you'd
Yeah.
expect, oh boy, who's getting ballots, and how do we know that they're legitimate?
Well,
we're still having those conversations today.
We are having them again. And then, do you remember Lee Harvey Oswald?
Oh, yes.
And Jack Ruby? Do you remember him?
Yes.
Okay, so it was on this day in 1963 that Jack Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald on live TV.
Yes, and that was just the weirdest thing.
Right.
Because, like, why? You know what I mean? I mean, you understand the backstory, but there was that brought so many conspiracy theories out and so many bizarre notions about who was really the killer and what was going on. And oh boy, that was just a weird time in our country.
And I was not born yet, but I certainly know just the story, right? That Jack Ruby shot this guy on live TV.
Oh, no, he just ran out in front of me. He was
Yeah.
being walked down, I'll never forget the picture. He's being walked down a hallway with law enforcement officers. He's cuffed, he can't do anything. And this guy just jumps out in front of him and just shoots him.
Just shoots him.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we have one texter that says, check out the book D.B. Cooper, The Real McCoy, written by a retired FBI agent.
Yes, well, and we're getting some music, which means it must be time for...
It must be time.
Maybe that's it for Inside Sources today. A lot to cover, a lot that we did today. I really want to follow up maybe tomorrow with this dismissal of these charges on Comey and Letitia James and what happened there and why. We may even have some news on that, but we were able to break that today, which was exciting. So many good stories today, too. Just so many good stories and acts of kindness and things that are going on in our community. Of course, the Park Cafe. But Midday with Maria Chaleos is up next with all of today's news, including how Tooele's shopping and dining scene is exploding this holiday season. Stay right here with us on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon, and this is Midday. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story. People in Tooele are getting the chance to stay local for Black Friday this year as their shopping and dining scene explodes in popularity. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live with what's happening. Heather?
Maria, as more people migrate further away from Salt Lake City, Tooele has seen massive population growth in the past couple years, and the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute expects it's going to grow by another 1.5% over the next 4 decades. John Perez,
offerings, but restaurant offerings as well. And now that we have it here, we're really shining.
Perez says their Chili's had the company